comme un ballon et plus jaune qu'un citron, c'est du Pac Man. Gentil petit bonhomme poursuivi par les fantômes, c'est du Pac Man. Il court, il roule, il est malin. C'est une petite boule qui n'a peur de rien. Rond comme un soleil, il fait des bonds dans le ciel, c'est du Pac Man. En quelques secondes, il peut faire le tour du monde, c'est du Pac Man. Il est toujours de bonne humeur, il a raison, ça porte bonheur. Faut faire attention, car voilà les gloutons. Vite une pack gomme, il dévore les fantômes. Grâce à son grand cœur, il sera toujours vainqueur. Vive Pac Man. Inky, Pinky, Clyde et Mademoiselle Sue sont des fantômes pas gentils du tout. Ils ont pour maître le méchant grippin, mais Pac Man s'en sort toujours très bien. Rond comme un ballon et plus jaune qu'un citron, c'est du Pac Man. Il ne craint personne, pas même les méchants fantômes, c'est du Pac Man. Il court, il roule, il est malin. C'est une petite boule qui n'a peur de rien. Plus fort qu'un géant, même s'il n'est pas très grand, c'est du Pac Man. Il est courageux et il n'a pas froid aux yeux, c'est du Pac Man. Il est toujours de bonne humeur, il a raison, ça porte bonheur. Il est en danger, mais il est toujours prêt. Vite une pack gomme, il dévore les fantômes. Grâce à son grand cœur, il sera toujours vainqueur. Vive Pac Man. Rond comme un ballon et plus jaune qu'un citron, c'est du Pac Man. Gentil petit bonhomme poursuivi par les fantômes, c'est du Pac Man. Il court, il roule, il est malin. C'est une petite boule qui n'a peur de rien. Rond comme un soleil, il fait des bonds dans le ciel, c'est du Pac Man. En quelques secondes, il peut faire le tour du monde, c'est du Pac Man. Il est toujours de bonne humeur, il a raison, ça porte bonheur. Faut faire attention, car voilà les gloutons. Vite une pack gomme, il dévore les fantômes. Grâce à son grand cœur, il sera toujours vainqueur. Vive Pac Man. Grâce à son grand cœur, il sera toujours vainqueur. Vive Pac Man. Grâce à son grand
Hi, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast number 72. Can you believe it? We've done 72 of these things now.
Well, you guys have. I've only been here a little while.
Me and Tom have done 72 of these. I think I was missing from maybe one of them. I don't know.
That's a point. Have I ever missed one? I don't think I have.
No, I think we're the only two that have been in every... Well, yeah, I think we're the only two that have been in every single one of them. As far as I know.
Wow.
Or maybe I was missing from one.
We missed one when we were in Florida, weren't we?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think I might have been in most. Either way, welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
There's a fact for you.
Although
I'm soon to drop out or so, aren't I?
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that little song that we played at the start.
That was delightful.
Yeah, that's certainly it.
Interesting. I couldn't hear it. I have to listen later.
It's the French Pac Man theme tune.
I believe that's what that was. It was actually a record. Like you can get that on vinyl.
Oh yes, as well.
Well, you
And
could
a real
easily play.
I think
Mr. Blobby cassette you could get.
that was my first ever record.
I used to have
the Mr. Blobby
Mario,
song.
I used to have the Mario Land rap.
Oh, nice.
I could rescue my Daisy.
I'm still trying to find another copy of that. I just want to get that.
The only record I remember having when I was little was The Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Wow. Nice.
So here we are again.
Yep.
Shall we do roll call?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'm the Gagaman.
I'm Cherry Terrier.
I'm Murry Curry.
I'm Shelved Gamer.
I'm Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Elk, and I'm wishing that instead of telling people to wash my hands, I had said, stay your ass home and watch Lucky Hit streams, and made that into a thing.
That sounds good to me.
Except not really. People really should wash their hands.
And they shouldn't watch Lucky Hit live streams. Why would they want to do that?
Literally
Oh
anything.
no, those lucky hits streams blow. I mean, I'm not in any of them.
Uh-oh. Baby's kicking off.
We got a situation occurring.
Hector's kicking off.
See that.
If you could just bear with me a second, I'll just mute myself for a minute.
Might be a good idea.
He's always trying to get on the show.
He actually wants to be a YouTuber, doesn't he?
Oh, he's just our biggest fan.
He knows what I'm talking about Lucky Hit streams being so bad that you're better off just skipping out on them and washing your hands for
Never.
more than 2 hours straight.
Just all day.
Until the skin on your hands is gone and there's nothing but bones.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, you might be safe in some ways.
No, I doubt anyone has that much soap.
No, not when you go into shops and it's all run out, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, welcome. I keep saying welcome because I don't know how to things.
You're not welcome.
So-
I'll just leave then.
Should we
Later.
jump straight in with what we've been playing?
No.
Or no? All right.
No,
Right.
yeah, let's do that.
No,
Let's do that.
We'll just end the podcast right now.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
May Fool's Day. Podcast is over. There was no podcast in the first place. Truth is,
Yeah.
the podcast was over from the start.
Murry Curry's back.
Speaking of, next week will be April 1st, and that will be a podcast day.
Oh.
No, it'll be June 1st. Never mind.
Wait, I was wondering. I was like, oh, and then I was like, hang on, we're going backwards.
We are not going back in time.
I was going to say, time has been very confusing recently.
Yes.
But I don't think it's literally going backwards.
April Fools, you got another 2 months of this.
April Fools, it's going on forever. So yeah, we should probably talk about what we've been playing. You want to go first?
Can I go first, please?
Go for it.
No.
Okay, so aside from the usual Pac Man, because my
Pokemon
copy of
this, Pokemon that, and Pokemon other.
my copy of Y arrived in the weekend, so I've got started with that. But aside from all that, I started playing Mario Picross on the SNES again.
Oh,
Good choice.
good
Yeah,
game.
basically we were sort of tidying up the gaming room, and
What happened?
I'm recabling up all the stuff.
Oh, that's weird. I got disconnected.
I thought I heard
don't know.
I heard a beep. Yeah, I think you got disconnected for a few seconds. But yeah, I was basically recabling all my retro consoles upstairs up and putting the DVD recorder up there because I'm going to actually start streaming retro consoles from upstairs now because I've got a new.
Hey.
And I was basically hooking all the consoles up and making sure they're all like easily accessible. I've cable tied all the SCART cables so I know where everything is and everything doesn't just fall down the back and get lost in a big jumble. And I just cracked out the Super Nintendo and we were just playing a few things and you got hooked on the cross again, didn't you?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been a very
Mario's
long.
Picross?
Yep.
Yes, Japan only one.
Yeah, the Super Famicom one with like the
Yeah.
Mario and Wario modes.
Yes, that's the one.
Hmm.
It's been a very long time since I last played it. I might have spoken about it on the podcast before, but as of now, I'm in the middle of like the Wario stages, and they're obviously a lot harder, but there's much more openness to mistakes, so you're not game over in as quickly or anything.
The thing I love about the game overs, it sounds exactly like Sesame Street.
It kind of does.
Every time you lose, it goes.
That could be. Don't give the high quality rippers any ideas.
If
It's
they haven't already done
It's
it,
our idea.
yeah, yes, we'll make our own Gilversona. We'll call it Silver Gunner. Wait a minute. Wait. It, got quite a few.
And everything's going to turn into the Thomas the Tank Engine theme.
Yes. So one of the things I really love about that game, I don't really understand Picross. Like I haven't really thoroughly played it myself, so I'm always I get the gist of it, but like I don't think my brain's big enough for it. But one thing I really love about that game is when you solve the puzzles, like you get like the thing that the picture they've made actually sort of like animates.
Yeah,
You get like these cute little animations, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, and the music in that game is outside of the Sesame Street game over. Like the music's really bloody good. You don't even mind hearing that for hours on end because it's just really funky.
Yeah, I've played a few Picross games in the past. I did enjoy that Pokemon Picross game, but it's a bit because it's a free to
What was
play
that
game.
on?
That was on 3DS.
Oh,
It's free to
okay.
play, but it
free
has
to
like
play for cross Pokemon. Oh, okay.
yeah, basically you would catch Pokemon by doing the Picross of them.
Ah.
But you
Oh.
had the mobile sort of energy system where you can't just play it all day. You do have to kind of
right.
pace yourself. But it's not so bad when it's
What
Picross.
was it called? Was it just Pokemon?
Pokemon Picross, I think it was called.
Oh, okay. Is that still available? Do you know?
Yeah, as far as I know. And
Oh.
they do have an option, I believe, to just buy it. If you know what I mean, you can do the
So
free
you don't
version.
have the time stuff.
Yes, it just
Oh,
removes it.
nice. Oh, cool.
So yeah, I haven't done that, but yeah,
Ah.
it so I think that came out around. It's based on like black and white era, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe X and Y.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's
Oh.
been good.
Yeah, a bit like how the typing adventure game was sort of from the black and white era.
Yeah. But I've played a few others. I've played a few Switch Picross games, and obviously the one that I think is most popular in the West is probably that original Game Boy Picross that came out, the Nintendo one.
The Mario Picross
the
for
Mario
Game Boy,
Picross,
where he's got like the excavation like kit on.
Yes, that's at least that's what when I think of Picross, that's what. pops
Yeah,
into my
same
head.
here. Yeah, I think that was the first time I've even heard of Picross was when that Game Boy game came out.
Yeah,
Yeah, same here, even though I've never played it.
Yeah, it's sort of like Sudoku in a way. Like it seems to use a sort of similar part of your brain. You know, I'm not that good at it.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I like puzzles.
Yeah, you're pretty good at Picross.
Honestly, the closest thing to Picross I've ever played was Minesweeper.
God, that.
Yeah, I guess that's
far removed.
It's not actually that different, no, when you think about it.
No.
I suppose not.
I'm
Basically
not
Minesweeper,
good at that
but
one at all,
there's
actually.
no bombs. Well, technically, there's like if you make a mistake and you actually press on the thing, it's a mistake, isn't it? It takes time off, doesn't it? In
Yeah,
the SNES game.
on the Mario
Yeah.
one it is anyway.
Yeah. So is that mostly what you've been playing lately?
Yeah.
Or? Yeah. So I guess I'll go next because it's the usual Asphalt, Mario Maker, Splunky. But I've also been just dabbling in a load of Super Nintendo games and also discovering that I have a bunch of. I just have random games about that I didn't realise I even bloody had. Like, it's been such a long time since I've actually rummaged around in my gaming room properly. I didn't realise. Basically, on the Super Nintendo online thingy, they added a couple more games for both the NES and the SNES section. And one of them was Penalty Pond, which was it was technically a Japan-only puzzle game, but it did get localised over here as Tetris Attack. Well, it's not a Tetris game. I don't even know why that happens. They just slap the Tetris license on it, even though it's got nothing to do with it. They're like, oh, it's basically they just thought it'd sell better if it had that name on it.
It was probably the same mindset they had with Puyo Puyo when they turned that into Kirby's Avalanche.
Yeah, I guess so.
No one would give it a shot unless it had some kind of brand recognition.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, most likely. Yeah, I've been playing lots of that lately. I've almost ploughed through. I think I've played through the easy mode of the first is on the Switch using save states, but again gets pretty hard at points. There's like a mode in that where you basically have to just get all the pieces down under a line that comes up, and once you get to I think the fourth character in that gets insanely hard. It starts pushing up really quickly, and it's just you gotta really just panic to get all the pieces. Whoa.
Oh.
Is that the...
Really gotta turn on the big brain power.
Yeah, it's a really fast-paced puzzle game. But one thing I really like about it is how you can just rearrange everything. Like if you end up with just a pile, you can literally just push them aside and just
Chuck them off.
Yeah, chuck the pile, like tidy the lumps, basically tidy them downwards. But yeah, I absolutely love that game. It might actually be one of my favourite Super Nintendo games. Like the aesthetic of it, the graphics of it, the music is amazing. Never thought I'd hear like a guitar bass like on a 16-bit game, but you know, like ding 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 ding. But all the soundtrack's got all that kind of like proper, like really clean samples of like bass guitar, and it's really cool. Yeah, so I've been playing that again on the Switch, and I was like, oh, I've got a cart of that knocking around upstairs, and I went upstairs and was going through my SNES games. I was like, oh no, wait, I've got a box copy. And I was like, oh, okay, so I actually have a complete copy here. That's cool. I don't need to buy a box copy. And then I was going through my loose carts, and I had a loose cart of it as well. And I was like, how did this happen? How did I end up with 2 copies of this game? That's not the first time that's happened. I think I accidentally bought I don't know how I did this, but I accidentally bought Puyo Puyo on the Neo Geo Pocket twice. I think I've sold the second copy since, but that was some time back. I bought it not realising I already bloody had it. I don't know how.
That was the only time we got Puyo Puyo 2 over here, wasn't it? Officially.
Yeah, at the time, yeah, back then. That was actually the first English localization of Puyo Puyo, as I know, until like the Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. I think the N-Gage also got a localized version of that as well, strangely enough. Okay. And they recolored all the characters for some reason. Like they all had like different colored hair and stuff.
Weird.
But otherwise, it was just like I think it was like a port of the Mega Drive game, but we've changed swapped the graphics around in some way. But yeah, mostly just been dabbling in Super Nintendo stuff. I was playing quite a bit of Game Freak's first game, Jerry Boy.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is supposed to be Jelly Boy because you play as a jelly, like a little jelly blob. It kind of looks like a slime from Dragon Quest.
Wait, I know what game you're talking about. Yeah, I have this game too.
Yeah.
It was released in North America as Smart Boy.
That's
by
it.
Sony ImageSoft.
Yes, in Japan it was published by Sony Music, of all people. So I guess this is never getting re-released. Yeah, unless Game Freak like got the rights back from them or something. I doubt it's ever coming out again.
Maybe,
but
hopefully.
It would be cool, like if it ended up on the SNES Online or something. It's definitely an early SNES game, like, and you could definitely tell it was like their first game. It's very basic and weird. Like, you've just got like this. As I say, like the entire title of the game in Japan is a typo. It's called Jerry Boy, which is ridiculous. How do you make the title of your game a misspelling? But I don't know.
When it just came out.
Were you playing the Japanese version?
Yeah, that's what I've got. Yeah, I've got a Japanese cart.
Oh, okay.
Because I've just got loads of like Super Famicom carts that I picked up from a car boot sale once. Some guy just ended up with like hundreds of Super Famicom carts for like £2 a pop, and I was just picking out random stuff. Most of it was like all baseball and shovelware, but then just the odd game stuck out like that. I was like, oh,
it's a cheap way to buy games, really, because you get a lot of games. Like, say you were buying Turtles in Time, it'll cost you a fortune to buy it, over here, and it doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah, I think in that case, I think even the Japanese copies are worth a lot now, but not as much, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know how much the US version of the game is, but I do have it with the instruction manual, which has some really nice artwork from Ken Sugimori.
Yeah, that was the main reason I picked up the cartridge, actually, because I wasn't aware of the game at the time when I picked it up. I was just like, oh, look, that's the Pokemon guy's art on it. That looks nice. I thought, I'll pick that up. That looks like a platformer. It is a platformer, but I can't really say it's a very good one. Like, I'm not really sure what his powers are. You can hold a button and he sort of sticks to walls, but only when you hold the button, and it sort of makes it a little bit faster.
Do you think this is before or after Pulse Man?
Oh, it's long before. This is long before Pulse Man. It's before even Magical Lucan or whatever it was called. That other Japanese-only platformer they made, based on an anime of some kind.
Is that
the Mega Drive?
The Magical Hat one?
Or... no, it's another one. It's called Magical Talukan or something like that.
Is it
I don't
Retro-con.
remember what this game is, but I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, your special abilities in this game, you can stick to walls, you can sort of jump on enemies and then sort of squish them by holding down, and then you can also hold up to just sort of stretch upwards. And sometimes it hurts things, but most of the time it doesn't. That's the one, yeah, magical.
Oh, Terraticon.
Terraticon, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's on the
Oh,
Mega Drive.
okay.
That's a pretty cool game. But yeah, I just found this Jerry Boy game really hard to play because the character seems pretty useless. He just doesn't have very good abilities. Like he's kind of rubbish. But I don't know. It's all right. It's not bad. But you can tell it's like, I think it was like one of the first. It might have been like a launch window Super Nintendo game because it's 1991.
Yeah.
I say it was around. It's
I
an
don't.
early release.
Well, the Super Famicom came out in Japan in 1990, so it
Oh,
might have
okay.
been within a year of its release. But
Mm.
yeah,
Oh,
it wasn't
okay, that
until the
makes
next
sense.
year that it came to North America. I don't
They
know.
Ah,
only
that's
made
what-
one
that's probably
game
one.
before this, so
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That what was it called?
Metal Palace or Quinty.
Quinty. That's the one. Yeah, that was on
Yeah.
Famicom, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yep, Famicom. That came out here as Mendel's Palace.
that's
Yep.
the one. Yeah, it's basically like a sort of Mega Man clone.
And that came out in North America in 1990, so
Ah,
so it'd
okay.
be a very late NES game.
Yeah. Yeah. So
a lot of NES games came out that year.
That's pretty much all I've been playing, really, other than the usual.
I guess I'll go next. I've completely forgot what I was. Yeah, I got that Blazing Chrome because it was on sale recently,
Oh, cool.
and I've been really enjoying that on the Switch. And
Ah,
I know that when that came out, Digital Foundry did a video on it of the technical issues the Switch version had, and it has had patches since then.
Oh, that's good.
haven't noticed any. There's a little bit of slowdown on one of the missions, but it's not that bad. It's pretty
Okay.
par of the course for some of these run and gun games. Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good sort of like Contra hardcore type run and gun game.
Well, I like how you specified hardcore.
It's specifically inspired by hardcore, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah. They've got the roll like the slide you had in hardcore. You got the weapon switching that's very similar to hardcore. Instead of having like two pickups, you can sort of drop in Super Contra. And like I say, the original development team is Brazilian, aren't they? And they
of course.
only Ken and that, and it's like that.
Oh, it's those guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that probably explains why hardcore was an inspiration and not Contra 3.
Yeah.
So,
Which, that and hardcore is the best Contra. Don't at me.
I was about to say there are a lot of people who think Contra is hardcore is the best Contra. So
that game was
favorites.
that was a pretty big inspiration for some of the bosses in a Cuphead as well. Like,
I
some
would-
of them are straight up parodies of bosses from that.
I would say hardcore, the Japanese version, is easily the best Contra. I think that there's some debate for the American one being a bit too hard.
It was another one of those cases where they thought, "Oh, Americans like hard games, right?" Rentals. We've got to make sure we can't beat them.
I mentioned this in your Saturn stream, but a lot of games, when they came out in North America, they were often made artificially more difficult because a lot of people used to rent games back then, and they didn't want people to be able to beat the game too easily.
Or within one rental,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in case, because they wanted to make sure that they rent it again or they buy it.
Or they actually purchase it, instead of just playing it one night and then never touching it again.
Yeah, more than re-renting it, I think they were more worried about people actually using rentals as a sort of try before you buy a thing. Because publishers have nothing to gain out of rentals really, otherwise, because they don't get more money from repeat rentals.
They get one sale from the rental.
Yeah, and
company,
if that rental goes out to 50 people, there's 50 people they could have sold the game to.
Exactly.
But so I do agree with Japan. It was an issue when you think about it like that.
Yeah, that's why the rental industry is dead.
Yeah, well,
pretty much. For the
Pretty
most
much,
part.
yeah.
pretty much on its way out.
There were a few instances where a game was made easier for its international release.
Yeah,
I'm sure there was a couple.
I think Mega Man 2 was one of them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then that game added the original difficulty as a different mode.
Yeah, it had the Japanese
Ah.
difficulty as difficult mode.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's just the
interesting.
only one in Japan.
Huh.
There was like a meme where they were saying about how hard Airman is in Mega Man 2. And
Oh,
growing up, I was
yes.
like, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
It's so
that
easy.
song. There was a song,
The
wasn't
thing
there?
is-
It was
the
the
thing is,
Airman
though, I
with
That
don't
meme was
lyrics.
that meme was mostly in Japan, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
because
Yeah,
they
it was a Japanese
That was
song,
mainly
wasn't it?
started by people who only played the Japanese version. Most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah,
yeah.
but the thing is, I don't think he's that difficult though. Even
No,
in
no,
the
but what, on
original.
difficult mode or?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's not difficult if you've got the power up. I find without him, I struggle like with just the Buster.
Oh, it must just be me then, because
Yeah.
I still go for him first, even on difficult.
Yeah, no, I struggle with him, and that's the thing because it was that thing where it's like, oh, you need leaf shot, okay, so or leaf shield, so you'll go do Leaf Man. You're like, oh, I can't beat Leaf Man, he's too hard without Flame Man, and then it's like, okay, I'll do Flame Man, but you can't get item 2 yet if you haven't beat Airman, so you have to do that annoying lava popping block segment without, and that's why that's the thing where it's like, so.
That's got to go on
But
my
we-
soundboard.
We call them skidoo blocks.
the skidoo, yeah. But yeah, like so this game obviously like like I say even Super Contra that had the Konami code in Japan, but it didn't over in the West. Yeah, this game's really good. It has infinite lives, infinite continues rather, but obviously it's a bit like Streets of Rage 4's done, where you only get a certain amount of lives to get through a certain segment. So it's more like a skill check. So it won't game over you no matter how much you play the game.
Yeah.
You can die all day, but you can still eventually get through it if you. But it's very hard in those small segments, which I think is a good way to do it. You know?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I've been playing that, and I've been playing some more Streets of Rage 4, trying to get more unlocks. I still can't beat Mania; it's too hard. And I've been playing. I got the Psycho collection on the Switch.
Oh no! Oh yes, I saw that. You got the physical collector's edition as well.
Yeah.
Didn't you? It looks really nice. I want it now. Now I've seen it in the flesh, like a photo of it.
Yeah, because when I
really
saw
good.
the Psycho collection on Amazon, it didn't really look that special. I thought they were just selling a quote unquote limited edition that might have like a couple of like cards inside the Switch box. But when it comes, it's in a very nice sort of like cardboard box, and it's got 3-disc soundtrack, and you know, it's very nice. And I'm trying to play the games sort of in order. So I haven't
You got the which one did you get? The blue one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Bravo just turned up today, so I got the red one as well.
Oh, so you got both now? Oh, nice.
I've got both now, yeah.
Sweet.
But the first one has mostly like the Strikers 1945 games, and Dragon Spirit. No, not Dragon Spirit. That's on.
Is it Dragon Blaze?
Dragon Blaze, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's a couple of those. One of those ones is one where it's like you have a helicopter and you can sort of pivot like a helicopter. It's kind of interesting.
Yes.
So
that's a Zero Gunner, isn't it?
Yes.
So that one was a Dreamcast game.
Yeah.
But what's weird about that one is they didn't have the source code, so they rebuilt it from scratch.
Yes.
And a lot of purists of the original game say it's terrible because it's just completely different. Like none of it doesn't feel exactly the same.
Oh,
the bullet
Zero.
pan's all different.
Oh, okay. I haven't played it yet, and obviously I have no reference. I never played it on the Dreamcast.
It is still a good game on its own, but if you're hoping it's a direct port of the Dreamcast game, you're going to be disappointed or used to it, I suppose. But if you haven't played the Dreamcast version, it's fine.
Well, it's like one of the things that people apparently complained with in the collection was Strikers 1945 free, because it's the home version was made more manageable difficulty, where the arcade version was a real quarter muncher, and that's fine. But you can adjust the difficulty on these games, so I don't really understand. Like, I haven't played it myself, so maybe even on like monkey difficulty as they call it, it's. Because I have like all of their difficulties are universal, and like it's like normal, easy, very easy, child, monkey, and it's like, oh, okay. I can't even beat it.
It's pretty insulting, isn't it?
It's pretty insulting.
Oh, I've got to put it down to child.
Child is better at playing games than monkeys are.
Evidently.
I
mean, but
I guess that makes sense.
But I've mostly only played Strikers 1945, the first one, and I've really liked that. It's every ship feels so different. And it doesn't feel like I feel like a lot of shmups, and they'll say a ship is different, it has a slightly different shooting pattern. But these ships are essentially everything's different about them. The shooting pattern.
It's almost like playing a different game with each one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, like the Spitfire in it, that's got like you fire missiles with your little options when you get them, but also you can hold down the shoot button to make the ships go into formation mode, as they call it, and basically you'll get a separate shot doing that, and that makes it like a spread shot. And then you have a unique bomb, which is like a big flamethrower with the Spitfire, but the Mustang has a thing where its formation shot makes a little windmill come out, and then that blocks bullets. And there's another one where you can make your formations go into a certain part of the map, and they'll just stay there shooting forward, which basically just covers that side of the map with bullets. So
that's so useful.
Yeah, that's so useful.
That one.
But saying that, it's still really hard, and I haven't finished it. So they'll keep me busy for a while. So
I'd say so. I think you'll notice there's a bit of a pattern with the Psycho games. They all kind of have that similar feel to them. They'll have the same like bombs popping out, the way like the basic groundwork. They're basically all the same game that have been sort of reskinned different ways.
Generally, like they use the same,
but in a good way, if that makes sense. Yeah,
they have their style, and they've
yes, definitely, yeah.
And like I say, maybe I'll get good enough to beat him someday, but it just but and yes, and just today I've been playing Wonder Boy. Really, I've got a few runs down of that, and
that's the remake, isn't it?
Yes, the remake.
Yeah. Love that.
So
love that remake.
Just sort of preparing for the stream tomorrow, and hopefully it will be as good as my fastest one that I've done. So, fingers crossed. I think that's about all I've been playing, really.
Cool.
All right. Excellent.
Who's next?
So who wants to go next?
Next.
All right, then I'll go next. So. Yes, surprise, surprise, I haven't been playing any Yakuza lately.
You lie.
Finally taking a break?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose you could say I have finally reached burnout. But I am going to be cracking on with 6 this week, because I really would like to wrap up the story.
Oh, thanks for the donation, Pickle Man.
Oh, wow. Oh. Okay, and thanks for the little hippo doing a...
Shuriken?
Shuriken hippo.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Cheers
nice
for
one.
that. That's awesome.
I'm going to be cracking on with that. But for now, I took a break this week. I wanted to play something which I thought was going to be a little bit more relaxing. I went through my old Games for Gold sort of backlog, which is pretty damn big now. Because I've been playing all these massive open world games. I've been picking up at least one of these games a month now, and it was also, in fact, I was watching a bunch of Donkey videos, and I saw him cover Celeste, and I was like, oh yeah, that's on my backlog. And he said it was pretty damn good, but at times brutally difficult. I didn't realize that he wasn't exaggerating. So I'm starting playing Celeste, which is quite frankly incredible. It's if anyone knows Celeste, it's basically just it's a pretty simple platformer with some pretty not simple level design.
Yes.
It's very Super Meat Boy.
Yes, yeah.
It's wall climbing and like.
Yeah. So I started playing it, and little did I realise it was going to become one of my favourite platform games ever. And
wow.
I've been playing it. I've been playing it relentlessly now for the last week, and I'm trying to sort of practice up a sort of nippy run of that. Got the time down to about an hour and a half. I really want to get it down to under an hour if I can. It's possible. I just need to not die all the time.
I look forward to that. It's a hard game when it wants to be.
Oh, I think you'll probably enjoy the run then, because like I say, I've been practicing it. Like I've been doing runs of it several times a day for the past week and a bit now.
Wow, nice.
Cool. And you're having fun.
But yeah, that's the thing, because it's one of those games, isn't it, where there's a lot of stuff to collect in the levels, and then you unlock these really horrible B-side levels. You collect these cassettes. And then when you've done all those, there's C-sides, which are even worse.
I don't know where the C-side comes. You put it in on its side.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I mean,
maybe it's a 2 cassette set. Just wait till you get to the D side.
not only that, but they added like I'm pretty sure it was like a sort of free DLC update. They added a chapter 9, and the thing about this chapter 9 is it's quite frankly one of the hardest things I've ever seen, and I can only get through about 5% of it.
Wow.
It's so hard. I just can't do it. I have to look up YouTube videos on how to get through each screen. There's like hundreds of screens, and like even like a fast run of it will take about 3/4 of an hour. That's how big this chapter 9 is, and it is just ridiculous.
That's almost the length of the. How long would you say the full game is? Like outside of that chapter.
So yeah, basically the full game it goes up to about, I think there's 7 chapters, and then they no, there's sorry, let me think. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I think there's 7. Yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah, there is a 7, and then there's a sort of like extra 8th chapter you get, but that's like optional basically.
Oh, okay.
When you climb the top of the mountain and reach the summit, that's chapter 7, and then you actually get the credits and you get your like results screen. You know, tells you how much time you got.
Yeah.
And it's a really funny thing on the results screen. You collect strawberries; they're optional strawberries that are just floating around the map. There's actually in the full version with chapter 9 included, there's 202 of these things, and some of them are really hard to get. Like I'm talking about ones where you have to perfect a whole level without dying just to get one of the golden strawberries, which just amounts to 1 strawberry. It's not like a special thing. But yeah, like the results screen changes depending on how many you've collected. And the run I'm doing at the moment is I try and speed through the game, and I purposely don't go for any strawberries. So I'm going to call it a nippy run, hold the pie. Because basically, she makes a pie out of all the strawberries you've got. And if you've got enough,
I see. All right.
I've done
Like a strawberry pie.
A bit like the other day when we were making like strawberry cupcakes in a Nintendo Labo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fish cupcakes.
Delicious.
So if you've got none,
I'm already hungry.
if you've got between none and like 20, I think it is, you have like the worst sort of ending screen where everyone just looks a little bit sort of miserable, and there's a pie with just like a sort of pie base with no strawberries on it.
Oh.
So that's what
That
I'm
is
trying to
sad.
do. So that's what I'm trying to do for hopefully next week. Come grind with me on this week even on Sunday. If I can get streaming on Xbox, I'm going to try and do that, and I'm going to try really hard to do under an hour. But it's quite an ask because the last few stages are so brutally difficult. I did a little bit of a test stream the other day, didn't I? And Gagaman checked it out, and I didn't even get. I only did 5 out of the 7 chapters on that, and even by the end of the 5th chapter, I was really struggling with the run.
Yeah, I mean, Celeste is interesting because it started as like a sort of a free game.
Yeah, it was a game jam.
It was a free game.
Yeah, it was on.
Really?
It was on. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the Pico 8.
Is that where it debuted?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, because you can go play that now. And for those who don't know, the Pico 8 is sort of like a made-up emulator that uses its own code base, and it's sort of all in. Sort of you run the executable, which is like the code, the engine, but it also runs the game. The bit like RPG Maker, I suppose.
That is the one you can get a little handheld for, isn't it?
Yes,
and you can
programmable. You can run it on the Raspberry Pi or on PC. I bought it for myself to tinker with the code, and it uses Lua, which is quite a competent code system, and you can export them as like, the whole game as a HTML and just play it in a web browser.
Nice.
It's really cool.
I've got good news for you.
Oh, what's that?
You can actually find the Pico 8 version in Celeste.
Oh, wow, cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. It's on chapter 3. There's like a little hidden room. It's quite easy to find, actually. I found it on my very first playthrough just by being a bit sort of, what's the word? Nosy. And you can play the Pico 8 version. Once you've played, it's on a little laptop in this guy's room, and then once you've basically played it, it's on the main menu, and there is actually a trophy for finishing it.
Oh, nice! You can you can go play that on the web now. There's loads of Pico 8 games, but they're like demakes of like Pac Man and all that kind of stuff.
I think I most recently saw.
Twitter. I did see on Twitter recently that someone did a demake of Golden Axe on Pico.
Oh, yeah, you see lots of those called demakes, and some of them are bloody good.
There's a
I was wondering what Pico 8 was from that.
Yeah, there's
I had
I
no
think one of the
idea.
ones I saw most recently was Super Hot.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
wow.
almost like Super Hot if it was Doom. It's really cool. It's really
That sounds
neat.
brilliant.
Oh, someone's
Yeah.
made Panel de Pon on there now.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't take them long.
That's fitting.
It only took them 20 odd years.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I was just going to say I'm basically going to try and run that on Sunday, so fingers crossed I get that working. And that's been about it, apart from what we already saw yesterday. I've also spent so I spent the week practicing basically two. I don't like using the term speed runs because they're not really speed runs. I call them nippy runs.
You're not glitching through the floor and just warping to the end, so it's not a speed run. Yeah.
Basically, I call them nippy runs, which is just my term for sort of really practiced like casual runs where you just try and do it as fast as possible and without sort of game breaking stuff. And we've done a couple of them on the channel, haven't we? I did a nippy run of Symphony of the Night and a couple of other things. Super. I was about to say, Super Shinobi, Revenge of Shinobi.
Yeah, the Super Shinobi, yeah.
Yeah, I did a couple of those as nippy runs. So yeah, I was practicing for Resident Evil 2, which I'm still sort of chuffed to bits
That
about.
was an impressive run.
That was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
The whole time you were like going, I really want to get sub 2 hours, and then you still had like 4 minutes to spare.
I know, it's crazy because the run I did just the night before was like nearly. It was 2 hours 7, so I didn't think I was going to cut it like by an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah,
but that went exceptional well, and it turns out I just need to stream.
Yeah, it's been put on
that
the spot.
seemed it was like the opposite of red light syndrome. The whole time we were going, you got to Jackson it, and then you didn't.
Luckily, the Jackson never came. I never got my head stabbed in. But yeah, that went really well. So I was really chuffed that basically what I've been doing all week paid off. I was practicing those games like mad. Like even when I was watching Gaga's and Cherry streams, I was basically like sat by the laptop watching the streams and also practicing these 2 games.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. I've been playing the hell out of 2 games I've already beaten. Well, actually, no. To be fair, at least Celeste is a new game.
You only just started it this week.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I started off trying to be really methodical and find everything, but when I got to the end of chapter 3, I was like, I want to speedrun this. So I started just trying to run it before I even finished collecting everything, because that's just the kind of game. It sort of, in a weird way, it encourages it.
Yeah.
So, because what it has is it's got actually speedrun timers in the menu, so you can have one where it tells you you can have 2 timers in the corner. One's your overall game time, and the other one's your chapter.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll be practicing that up, and fingers crossed on Sunday.
That's kind of like what Spelunky does, actually. That gives you the option to have like an advanced timer where it shows you the level you're on and then the world, like your total time,
really?
and then the time. Yeah, it's in the.
Oh, see, I'm on the Xbox version, which seems like they just gave up updated it.
Yeah, for some bizarre reason, that's the only version that didn't get updated. They basically made an enhanced HUD. Yeah, if you got it on, I think the PS4 version has it. So
yeah, I do want to grab that. I really do, because I'd like to join you in your Hellrun streams.
Well, I wonder if the Vita one ever gets updated anymore, because I would like to get it on the Vita, so I'd have a portable version.
I want to say that version did as well, because basically all the PlayStation versions did. I think it was literally just the Xbox one for some bizarre reason, considering
which is weird, because I think that was the intended platform.
That was the original release. Yeah, that was where it came out first, like years before the PlayStation.
That's why I don't get it. Oh well, there we go. So that's me. I even stopped playing Elder Scrolls Blade. I said I was going to play that for another week, but I was just like, nah, Celeste. Nah, bollocks. So that's me. Who's next?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Oh, get it.
Yeah. I finally got my PS4 all sorted after last week's hard drive problems.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. It literally finished downloading like all the patches and this and that for all my games at so like 8:45 the next morning of the last week's podcast. So it was a long way off from me actually being able to play anything. But it's all sorted now. So I picked up, started playing Judgment again. The Yakuza sword.
Yay! One of my favourites.
Yeah.
Haven't played that in a while, actually.
Yeah. I picked up where I left off and didn't seem to be too confused of what was going on and this, that, and the other. So that was good.
Excellent.
And what else have I been playing? I found all my Nintendo Wii stuff, like my remotes and controllers and this, that, and the other.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so I've put it up to my big TV in my living room and started playing some Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix just to get some exercise in.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes, I saw your post of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like a Mario Party game, but with like the 4 hours of Dance Dance Revolution going up the screen. So
and very interesting remixes of all the Mario songs, from what I've heard.
Yeah. There's that, and sort of like not 8-bit versions of classical music, but yeah, sort of like classical music turned into video game music.
Huh.
It doesn't quite fit, but I suppose that's why I dodging all the
I take it they didn't bother to put any licensed music in it then.
No,
it's just Mario music or classical.
Yeah,
Mario does seem to love his classical music.
He does.
I remember Donkey Konga had a bunch of classical music in it too.
I had some licensed songs as well, didn't they? But they were like really bad covers.
Yeah, well, that game did have a couple of licensed songs, but all of it was covers, from what I remember.
Do you think that when Star Wars Connect came out, they were real songs, but they were like tweaked to be more Star Wars in the lyrics?
They changed the lyrics.
That was also covers, but they changed the lyrics to.
Yeah, but like, did they have to pay licensing for that? I assume they would, but
I would so.
Sure,
possibly.
they had to. Yeah. Especially in the case of Ghosts and stuff by Deadmau5, because that song has no lyrics in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just straight up a licensed song.
I reckon they could have got away with the parody law for some of them.
Yeah,
I think there, as far as I know, there's like 2 forms of like music rights when it comes to like game music. It's like it's cheaper if you just get the song rights and just cover it yourself. It's actually cheaper to cover the song yourself than it is to get the full rights to the song. But you can get the basic rights that will basically allow you to cover it.
Well, it's like you get a lot of bands who make covers of songs and that they actually put it on albums. And do they pay royalty for that because it's a cover? Because it doesn't feel like that they do, you know.
Yeah, I'm not
Obviously
sure.
they've got to pay the rights to the songwriter and everything, but
yeah, they might have to credit them for the.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all they have to do if it's a cover, as far as I know.
Yeah. It was always my understanding that covers were just fair game. Has that changed now?
Well, I don't know.
Maybe it's still the case. I'm not sure. I'm not really an expert.
I really don't know. It might be different for different territories. I know we have our own laws regarding that stuff in the U.S.
Yeah,
Right.
and I know there's U.S. games like the Guitar Hero series that used to do a lot of covers of licensed songs.
I really missed that. The covers they did in the first game were so good. Some of them were, like, I would argue, almost as good, if not slightly better than the originals.
The first Guitar Hero.
Yeah, the very first game where it was basically all covers, like every single one, and they covered them so well.
They were very good.
That Guitar Hero 1 version of Bark at the Moon was incredible.
I think it was it wasn't until the third game that they got masters, was it?
Yes, I think it was the third one.
Although the third game still had a bunch of covers, it was mostly master recordings.
Yeah.
And the reason they did the covers at first is because you're playing as a cover band.
That's right.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
So like, if you have a generic singer, it doesn't make sense for that singer to sound exactly like Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most players tend to prefer the actual versions of the songs. So by the third game, and especially because the third game is the best-selling game in the series, by that point they could afford to shell out more to get the original recordings.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was an issue with the first game because it was, it was harmonics, which aren't exactly as big as when they sold it to
Neversoft.
Yeah, and I can't imagine they would have been able to shell out like for licenses for like 50+ tracks like that.
Yeah, it was never something that bothered me. Like when they were like always covers, I was like, oh well, sounds fine.
I was absolutely fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
We also played a bit of online NES and SNES in the week together, didn't we, Andrew?
Yeah.
I
let's come to that.
That's true. You did.
What was it? That championship boat race, elimination boat race.
Oh,
Eliminator boat duel.
That's it. Yeah. Like when we went off the air.
That was funny watching you play through that game.
Oh, it was even better when we were off air. Me and Gagaman found, progressed a lot more into the game. And there's a whole load of weird bits and pieces, including Gagaman capsizing twice.
I really wish it happened on the stream, but basically you can sometimes, if you bump into something the wrong way, you will immediately game over and the opponent wins. Like, if you're playing in 2-player, we were playing 2-player after the stream, and it has like this elaborate full screen animation of the boat tipping over. It just randomly happened to me twice, and it's just like, he wins, 92 grand. It's just like, oh, okay.
It was the most like rubbing it in your face.
Yeah, it really was. It was just like, nope, done. You're out. It's ridiculous. I love that 2-player version of Excite Bike as well.
Oh yeah,
that first
you were really liking that.
Versus
never played 2-player Excite Bike before, and like that's just something I always wanted because Excite Bike was always one of my favourite racing games, and the original didn't have that.
I know, like the original was was it a launch title or it was very early?
Very early one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
very
like it's a weird oversight, isn't it? You know,
it really should have brought that over.
And as far as I remember, the Famicom has 2 controllers built in because it's welded to the machine. So
yes,
it's not like it would have been a case of, we don't expect people to have 2 controllers, you know.
And the funny thing about Excite Bike as well is it was a Famicom Disk System game in Japan, and you could actually save the courses you make. And if you play the Western NES version, it still has the save button, but if you click on it, nothing happens. They just left it there.
That was always weird.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll go save this. Why hasn't it saved my course? When you turn it on again, it's just like, what?
That's not so much an issue anymore when you play the game in emulation, including the NES selection for Nintendo Switch Online because of save states.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, at the time, even if you don't know to abuse the save states, if you didn't know about that issue, you might still think that save option actually works because they're using the US cartridge version of the game. For Excite Bike.
Yeah,
not
the original Excite Bike, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when I first got a PlayStation, I didn't have a memory card, and a lot of games I would just have to leave on, you know, and turn the TV off.
I feel sorry for you.
Same here with the Sega Saturn. I think I mentioned it before. But I didn't have the memory card. Obviously, it had the watch battery save, but after I think it was a year or 2 years, it just died without any warning. There goes all my saves. All my saves are gone. My 84 hours in Fighters and Mega Mix are gone.
I don't know why that was. Sorry.
That happened to me too, but thankfully I didn't spend over 80 hours in Fighters and Mega Mix yet.
Well, by spending 80 hours, it was probably more like 30 hours in actually playing it, and then lots of hours overnight leaving it on.
It's weird because, like, I don't know why they decided to go that route with the internal memory, because you think just like sticking the equivalent of a PlayStation memory card into a Saturn internally would be a better option, because obviously that doesn't need to be powered.
Well, that's the thing with the Saturn memory cards as well, is they're huge. You can fit so many save files on them. You only really need one.
Free.
Yeah, even then, they've got so many blocks on them, you only really need one.
Yeah, I mean, Shining Force 3, you couldn't physically do the multi-game thing in the internal memory. It just wasn't physically possible.
Yeah, there was a few games. Yeah, you could only fit like a small handful of games on the Saturn memory.
Yeah. That was like, you're playing Shining Force now, nothing else until you're done. You know.
I mean, I guess with the PlayStation, there used to be games where you could take advantage of having something from your save data, where you could bring the memory card to a friend's house and take whatever you did in the game and use it with your friends. Like, so for example, I guess some of the biggest examples I could think of would be stuff like Digimon or Monster Rancher, where you had your own special monsters that you had to train. So you take them you take them to a friend's system if they have the game, and you could make your battles. You can make your monsters battle. Kind of like Pokemon. But I guess Sega didn't really think about something like that when it came to the Saturn. Not to mention, not having internal memory in the PlayStation probably helped make it cheaper.
Yeah, I seem to remember the PlayStation memory cards being considerably cheaper than the Saturn ones because they were smaller. They had less.
$12.99 at the time, I think they were.
They were smaller. They had less storage capacity. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Saturn ones were like 40 quid.
It was made so that it would be economically feasible for you to buy more than one.
The other thing you got to be careful with the Saturn ones as well is never take them out when it's on. Ever, because it'll just wipe it.
Oh yeah. I imagine that's a big issue.
Yeah. In fact, you have to be very careful with just plugging it in full stop. Always make sure you do it when the system's off, obviously. But sometimes, what I've found, the best way to plug in a Saturn memory card is to put it all the way in and then bring it out ever so slightly, and then it will connect. Otherwise, it won't connect sometimes.
As a slight tangentially related, but I never owned a Mega CD, but how does that work with save games? Because obviously
has built in. It has.
Yeah, the Sega CD also has built-in memory, just like the Saturn. It's just the battery inside is not as easily replaceable as the Saturn one. But they did also have backup RAM cartridges for Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you could get a cartridge that basically backed up your Mega CD games, but that was quite expensive as well. I never had one.
Most Genesis flash carts today also function as RAM carts for Sega CD.
Exactly.
I think
that was one of the reasons I got the
EverDrive X5 can do it.
Yep, that's why I got one.
SD can do it.
That's one of the reasons I got an EverDrive, because it's not only can it play all these it can play all the games, but it also works as a RAM cartridge for the Mega CD, and it also makes your Mega CD, you can load any BIOS onto it, so you don't have to mod your Mega CD, stuff like that. So it was worth it because of all those little extras.
So,
it is really cool.
What other games did Hunk Thunder and you play the other day? I was there. It was
we played that awful Kung Fu Heroes thing on the NES.
Oh yeah,
that just has stolen Mario sound effects in it.
Yes.
I was shocked when I heard those because I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
but you guys got far. You got farther in that Kung Fu Heroes game than I did when I played it by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I kind of started to enjoy it after a while, even though it's one of those it's utter trash, but I'm for some reason enjoying it.
I knew its sequel. I'd heard of the sequel game that was on the Super Nintendo, but I hadn't heard of this, and that was like Ninja Brothers or something.
Yeah.
And I heard it was fun, but it was incredibly high. It was like sort of an RPG, I think, kind of.
They made loads of those games, like Culture Brain just had a whole series of
Culture
those.
Brain had some very interesting games for its time.
None of them were particularly good. None of them were good. I've played quite a few of them, and they're all dreadful. But yeah, they're not a name I think of when I think of quality old, not even obscure quality video game developers. They're just they're obscure for a reason.
Yeah, they were put up next to LJN published stuff.
Yeah, more or less.
It's good. It's good that Culture Brain is still around in some capacity, because that means they still have the rights to those games and they can republish them for
people to suffer through.
preservation's sake.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess
you really
so.
want to buy it.
Yeah.
What was that fighting beat 'em up you played?
Brawl Brothers.
Just about to bring
Brawl Brothers. Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I really need to look up how. What's the finite way to get out of that sewer level? Because the game
that
does
is impossible.
Get pretty good after.
I was about to say maybe it's amazing. Maybe it's better than Streets of Rage 2 if you just get out of that sewer.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
it's totally gonna just the controls and the animation's just gonna improve on the third level.
Is that the definition of glass half full there?
I'm pretty sure that sewer was another measure for game rentals. But that's one of those situations where they took it way too far.
Yeah, if you have a Japanese account on your Switch and you download the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo online, you can still play them even if you haven't got a Nintendo online account on your Japanese one. So you can play the Japanese version of that game and get through that level no problem.
Oh, nice. That'd be
the funny thing about Brawl Brothers is the Japanese ROM is also right next to the North American ROM in the cartridge. I think you're supposed to hold the select button, I think, and some other button, but I forget what.
Oh, really? Oh, what, you can just select...
Yeah, you do that. You do that when you turn the game on, and it plays the Japanese version instead.
So it's like,
it's
like Streets of Rage, kind of, where it's like had both regions built into it. That's cool.
Did Streets of Rage do that as well?
Yeah.
Well, sort of. If you put an American copy into a Japanese system, or vice versa, if you had the means to do that, it would just play in its respective region.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think that only applied to the first game, though.
Yes, very possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember Mystic Defender on Genesis did that too. Where that game, when it came out in Japan, it was based off an anime. And
Ghouls and Ghosts does that
they
as well.
had any references to the anime stripped out for the Western release. And then when I played that game on my analog Mega SG with the region set to Japanese, it played the Japanese version of the game.
Yeah, I remember Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Mega Drive does that as well. If you play it on the Japanese Mega Drive, it just comes up as Dai Nakamura.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then Gyarest too.
Ah, yeah.
Gyarest did it.
Oh,
yeah.
And Fireshark.
Yeah, when
Fireshark does it.
Years ago, when Mark Bussler reviewed this thing called the Retron 3 on Classic Gaming, he put Gyarest in it, and he set the system's region to Japanese, and it played the Japanese ROM.
Yeah, that's always interesting back then when they had stuff like that. The only other system I can think of that did that a lot was the Neo Geo Pocket, actually. That most of the cartridges had both languages on them.
Didn't Neo Geo AES do that as well?
Yes.
The Neo Geo AES and MVS did that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's what I've been playing this week.
Yeah, we intend to play some more NES and SNES tomorrow, don't we? We want to play some online Penalty Pond.
You're planning a lot of streams this week.
Oh yeah, I just queued them all up, basically. That's basically how many we've been doing every week. I just queued them all up like now, just to get them ready.
So if you don't have to go out of your house, then stay your ass home and watch Lucky Hit streams.
We got you covered.
Yeah. I mean, how many videos have we done since we sort of...
We're basically going at a rate of about 8 a week at the moment.
Wow. That's really quite good. Very good.
Yeah, well, think about it, it'd be 9 this week because
we've got 2 tomorrow.
Shelved game tomorrow, and me
a lot better than me doing like 1 video a year.
It's quite a lot of YouTube channels don't do.
Yeah, but we're not really doing edited videos ourselves anymore, to be fair, at the moment. As much as I'd like to get back into that, I just haven't had the motivation lately.
Motivation or practical? It's not very practical right now, is it?
No, not really.
No. But you know,
those archive. I would like to get some more of those archive videos out though. Getting through the hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of footage we've got knocking around. We've got a lot.
Oh hell yeah!
I think it helps that we've got like weekly shows now, like a format. If you know what I mean. So you know, we've got we've got this one coming tomorrow, and we have like the Labo one, and you know, the Come Grind With Me and Date Night and all that, and it helps give it structure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, who's left? Is it just Elk now? Yeah,
I believe so.
I don't know if there's anyone else, but I can go next.
Yeah, sure. Yep. I think it's the last one.
So usually when I talk about the games I played in 1 week, I don't talk about every game I played. I typically played a lot. So like, there's only 2 times I talked about Rhythm Thief and The Emperor's Treasure on 3DS. I've actually been playing that every week, but most of the time I don't have a lot to say about it yet. This week, I only played 5 games. No more, no less. The one I played the most was Splatoon 2. Because I was preparing for the for this weekend's Splatfest. I
completely forgot to mention I played that as well. I did play a load of that over the weekend as well. No, just throw that.
Dude,
Just throwing that out there.
Super sea snails.
No, I don't. I didn't say. No. Sorry. What I said is I forgot to mention that I played it.
Yeah.
Oh, you did play it, but you just.
I forgot to mention it.
Who won the Splatfest?
Anyway? Ketchup.
Ketchup.
Yeah, I was on Team Ketchup.
Team Ket. Oh, cool. Represent. Yeah, I was on Team Ketchup too. I'm so happy.
Who was the opposition?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Oh,
I mean, to be fair, like I'm not that fussed either way, but like I just picked ketchup because it's the one I've had more. That's it.
I just picked ketchup because I personally think mayonnaise is disgusting.
Well, that's fair.
Unless it's Japanese mayonnaise, because I remember I've had takoyaki with Japanese mayonnaise on it. Japanese mayonnaise is different. That stuff's
it is.
But anyway, yeah, I just picked ketchup, and I spent a lot of time this weekend playing Splatoon 2. It was an exciting moment. And then
nice having Splatfest back,
the week
wasn't
before
it?
that, I know. And then the week before that, I was just playing to warm myself up for it. It was really nice to have the Splatfest back again.
Yeah, shame it's a one-off, really.
Would you say it's a bit late to be getting into Splatoon now? Because I don't have it, but I liked the Wii U game, and I just never got around to playing the sequel. And I just wonder if it's best to just wait and see if they do a Splatoon 3 now.
Well, you know what?
I still think there's enough there that it warrants it. Like, I still think the general game loop of it is satisfying enough that you can still get out of it. I personally mostly played it when Splatfests were on, and I got the first game when the Splatfests were over and didn't play it anywhere near as much. So I don't know how that will apply to you. But like, there is, I'd say the single player mode makes it. Yeah, you get quite a few hours out of that, and there's also the DLC. Second single player mode, which adds a lot to it.
I would say, I guess it depends on how expensive it's going to be. I don't know if I could spend full price on it, but if it was like 20 quid, I could.
Yeah, you might have to wait 10 years for that.
Yeah.
It's a Nintendo game, you're going to be waiting a while. I mainly ended up with it because it was bundled with my Switch, so.
Okay.
Like, otherwise, I don't think I would have rushed out and paid full 40 bones for it.
That's the best way. Like, you often find that I like to get a bundle game, generally the game that's not my number one game that I want to own, but like my number 2 or 3 game that I would never buy otherwise.
Exactly, yeah, because like my Switch, it came with Splatoon 2, it came with Breath of the Wild, and it came with Murry Curry 8 Deluxe, which I definitely wouldn't have bought if it wasn't in that bundle, because I already had it on the Wii U.
Exactly, I would, I didn't buy I haven't bought Murry Curry 8 either for that reason. Even though I would love to own it, I just started paying 40 quid again. You know?
Yeah, no, for a game that's like 5 years old,
Exactly. As great as it is, and I'm sure it's worth the money. It's just I've done it, so you know, I've been.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
I've been tempted to buy Breath of the Wild a second time because I had that on Wii U because I didn't have a Switch at launch. So
same here. I could play through that again. It's been a few years, and I
might actually get the DLC this time and just get it on Switch and then just go for it.
I just warn you, the DLC is very, very difficult and seems pointlessly so.
Hey guys, I disconnected again. Sorry.
No worries.
No worries.
It's kind
of yes. Did I get cut out while I was talking about what you still get out of Splatoon 2? Okay, where did I leave off?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gagaman went through it anyway, but yeah. I think I'll settle again if it's like half price, which probably never will happen. So,
did Gagaman talk about the Splatfest mode in the Friends multiplayer?
No.
Oh no, so there is a way to do that as well, isn't there? Now?
Yeah. So you can arrange to play with friends on Nintendo Switch Online that you have, and they have a special mode that was added after the final Splatfest where you can redo any of the previous Splatfests, and you can set up your own rules. You can use any of the previously used team colors, and you can even play any of the shifty station levels, which are original levels that are made up for each individual Splatfest. So you could do that, and you could even make up your own Splatfest theme if you want, which can't be reproduced in the game, but it could be something you and your friends decide on.
Well, I was just looking at how much it is on Amazon. It's still 40 quid. But I was scrolling down and I saw, you have that, like, the digital version has like the red, like, bevel around it, like a banner around it. And I was like, the digital version, 1 hour cheaper. And it was like, it's free. And I was like, that's weird. And I noticed it's a Kindle edition. And I was like, oh,
wait,
so
what?
they've just put.
They
I was
ported
like,
Splatoon 2 to the Kindle.
yeah. And it was like
Wow.
the full Splatoon 2 memes, cool, great book ever.
Wow.
Okay, this is one of the books.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I interjected.
Totally official.
That's all right.
100% official.
But yeah, anyway, the point is there's still a lot to get out of Splatoon 2, even if you they're probably not going to do any more Splatfests. This last one was just a surprise, but there's still people playing it all the time. There's still people playing the first Splatoon on the Wii U, as a matter of fact.
Still has the scene there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so occasionally I go back to the first Splatoon.
I'm glad to see how healthy Splatoon was, because I know a lot of people initially saw Splatoon and sort of, hand waved it, but it's a legitimately good game. Like
yes,
it's
really
better
is.
than a lot of competitive, like, I hesitate to say shooter, but yeah,
it is one of the most genius game series that has come out of Nintendo in a long time.
Yes,
and it's rare for. And there's new stuff that's come out of Nintendo within the last decade, stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles, which got popular.
Yeah.
Nothing managed to capture the imagination the way that Splatoon has.
I feel like
Splatoon
is Nintendo's Jet Set Radio, except they're actually supporting it.
Yes, yeah,
that's the best way to look at it.
It does share a lot of the same spirit as Jet Set Radio, even though it's not the same type of game.
Except, they're actually making more.
And it doesn't have janky controls.
Yeah, that too.
and it is amazing. And it is amazing how much Splatoon has done so well financially, and just really, really captured its audience. And on the Wii U of all consoles.
Yeah. One thing about that Splatfest this weekend, though, was the fact that it was ketchup and mayo. So sometimes they tried to theme the paint, like the ink you spray everywhere. So think about it. It was ketchup and mayo colours.
That's
that was funny.
That was not obviously thought too hard about, was it?
It was like spraying ketchup and mayonnaise everywhere.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Yeah, that's totally what they thought.
I'm not going to spell it out, but
But you know what? But you know what? There were some Splatfests where one of the team colors was white. So like the chicken versus egg one, for example. Like
oh no, that one was even worse. That one was even worse.
And you know what? The only reason I joined Team Egg during that Splatfest was just because they had white ink, and it was great.
I mean, the mayo wasn't much better. It wasn't much better with the mayo one.
Depending on who you ask, mayonnaise might have been a more accurate color, I guess.
I bet you they had a board meeting just to discuss the shade of red they used, just to be really careful that it doesn't look like blood. They were just sitting there like, right, what hex code can we use that won't offend anyone?
We might need to make it a little lighter, because actual ketchup is darker. At least North American ketchup. I don't know about anywhere else.
The shades of ketchup.
Always thought British.
40 shades of ketchup.
And you know what? Sometimes there was times where I was paired up in a match against a team of more Team Ketchup players.
Yeah.
So they just use random colors for those. But in my case,
it usually works.
In my case, those random colors I picked would end up reminding me of some of the special colored Heinz ketchup that they used to make in the 90s.
Oh, blimey.
So yeah, I don't know if they had this in the rest of the world, but in North America, Heinz used to make a purple ketchup and a
my god!
They did this in the 90s.
I don't like the sound of that.
And it was awful. Beautiful.
I've seen it before.
Ordinary ketchup.
Oh no!
It's just ordinary ketchup. They just colored it.
Oh, look at
It
it on
was magical.
Stacey just put up a picture of it on chips and.
Oh man!
No.
Most 90s
Well,
figure you've ever seen.
Yikes. It's even called Easy Squirt with a Z.
Yeah.
Oh, that just looks like someone's
really? They did this?
Oh, yikes.
poured Nickelodeon slime all over it.
Basically. Yeah, that looks. Oof.
That is awesome.
What else have you been playing, Elk?
Well, besides Splatoon 2, I've also just been playing the 4 games which are added to the Nintendo, the NES and the SNES selections on
nice.
Nintendo Switch Online. Which, besides Panel de Pon, they also added Wild Guns, Operation Logic, and Operation Logic Bomb on Super Nintendo.
I liked
Rygar. And then Rygar was the sole NES game that was added.
It's a good one, though.
That is a cool game, though.
Yeah.
They are cool games, except Rygar is not as straightforward as I expected it to be. I got lost in that game.
It's a bit one of those ones where I think it's one of those things people remember fondly because they played it a lot. It's a good game, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Just a fair few there's semi-open world games.
Yeah, it's another one of those
one of
games
those-
where they expanded on the arcade game and decided to try and make it. Yeah, it was an arcade game originally. Yeah. But the arcade one was a lot more straightforward, just running around hitting things. But then when they brought it to NES, they were like, we'll open it up and make it more of a console game.
Yeah, like I say, it's
kind
very
of
much.
Kind of like the NES version of Strider.
Yeah. Similar situation. Yeah.
Or Bionic Commando.
Yeah, Bionic Commando. Yeah, it's very much like that.
Or pretty much a lot of arcade ports from Capcom on the NES.
It's been a strong showing for these new games that have come to the Switch online service. I think, Panel de Pon's great. Obviously, Wild Guns is fantastic. I don't want to. It's not redundant because obviously you do have that remake, but it's the original's still great. There's still a fine way to play. It's easier, in fact.
In fact, if anything, it makes it a little easier to appreciate one of those versions if you've played the other already.
Yeah. Also, like, while Wild Guns Remastered is a great version, it's just like it's not a massive amount of extra stuff, So
and there's also an argument to be made that because it's now rendered in widescreen,
it's harder.
That makes the gameplay a little different. Yeah. So like it's kind of like with Tatsunoko versus Capcom on the Wii, where I noticed this from someone noticed this and made a tweet about it recently. But when you get in that game, depending on whether you have your Wii set to 16:9 or 4:3, knockback will be slightly different.
Oh, really?
For when your character gets knocked into a wall, they might get knocked back a little further.
That's interesting.
If it's on 16:9. So
they should have.
If that could potentially make juggling combos a little easier.
They should have done it a bit like when they did Marvel vs. Capcom on the 360 and stuff, where you could have 16:9 and you could technically see the extra screen, but you bounced off an invisible wall.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm surprised they didn't do that actually.
Of course, when you do that, it looks really awkward.
It does look awkward, but
because sprites that are supposed to come off the side of the screen get cut off.
Yeah.
So like the arm, from Gene's giant robot Blodia, it gets cut off at the end.
It does, yeah.
I don't even know why they felt the need to put 16:9 in it. It's a nice thought, but like,
it's for those people that seem to be offended by a bit of border.
I know. It's like, I can't deal with borders. It's
no. Why is there borders on the sides? It's not filling the whole screen. What do I do? How do I stretch it? Help.
But and
then with the NES and SNES selection, they don't even give you the option to stretch the screen. Usually they do have that for retro games, even though in most cases it looks kind of weird having the sprites stretched out. With this, they don't even let you do it at all.
I mean,
in fact, they didn't do it with the NES or SNES Classic either. But the Genesis Mini lets you do it, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Genesis does. Horrible stretching. You can't do this on Nintendo.
It's weird. Like I say, like the Mega Drive was more popular over here in Europe, and we were forced to deal with 50 Hz, and we were used to borders.
Exactly, yeah, we were used to even thicker borders. You should see Daytona USA on the PAL Saturn. It's insane. It's so squashed. It's like widescreen. It's just like a tiny, like, ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to these games. I did play some Wild Guns. That game's already very difficult, even in its original form.
Yeah.
So for the first time ever, I decided to set it to easy, and I had a more manageable time with it. Which I suppose you should do anyway with some of these retro games, because you do want to practice with them. You can't just go into a higher difficulty and expect to be a master of it. Even though a lot of us like to pretend that should be the case. Right.
Sure.
And then Operation Logic Bomb was the only game added to these selections that I'd never seen before.
Yeah, me neither. Never heard of it until this point.
Apparently, it's a Game Boy. It started on the Game Boy, and there's about 5 games in the series.
Really?
Yeah, and I guess it's a very slow paced Smash TV. It's quite fun.
Yeah, I played it. I dabbled in a little bit of that. I thought it was quite neat.
I do really like how that game sets up its storytelling. The way it works is you're supposed to go into a biolab, or not a biolab, a munitions factory or something like that. You're a cybernetic soldier, so you have to hack into the security cameras, and when you do, it actually shows you what happened, which led to the robot invasion in the facility. And it was actually pretty cool that they thought of it. Of course, in that game, it's also kind of easy to get lost, kind of like in Rygar, but not as difficult to manage as
I think
Rygar.
there is a map if you
have got a map
start.
at least in that,
Yeah, this game at least does have a map. You do have to find it, but it is there.
Yeah. Is that have you been playing that way? You've been playing 5 games, all these different NES and SNES games?
Well, it was 4 games, but I'm just adding in Splatoon 2, because those are the only 5 games I played during the week. Right, and then Panel de Pon I also played for the first time, even though I have Tetris Attack. I grew up with Tetris Attack. That's one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. Never managed to experience its original Japanese form until now.
Yeah.
How does it work in Tetris Attack? Because in Panel de Pon, you go around, you save these fairies, and then at the last segment of the game, you're using the fairies on your team, and if you lose, they, for lack of better words, die, and you have that. They're like your lives. So how does that work in Tetris Attack? Are they like little Yoshis?
In Tetris Attack, I actually don't know, because I've never managed to make it that far.
I think they just swapped out all the fairies for Yoshi's Island characters.
They did.
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
It's weird that they did that, because they don't show any Yoshi characters on the box art for Tetris Attack.
Yeah, that too. It's pretty random.
So when I first got the game as a kid, I didn't even know that it had anything to do with Yoshi until I started playing the game.
Such a baffling release, because it's like they got the rights to Tetris even though it's not Tetris, but they didn't put Yoshi on the box, which would have also sold, because there were loads of Yoshi games at the time, including puzzle games. Yoshi was kind of known as a puzzle series for a while, because there was that game just called Yoshi's Cookie. You had that one on the Game Boy just called Yoshi. And
it is surprising, especially given the fact that, like I said, I'm sure they made that change because they thought that in its original form it wouldn't appeal to Westerners, like with Puyo Puyo.
But they probably could have saved some money by just calling it Yoshi Attack and not Tetris Attack.
But like when Sega brought Puyo Puyo over to the Mega Drive and Genesis as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, they completely changed the tone of the game. So, they replaced all the cute fantasy anime characters with characters that are a little more brutal in their design.
On the Sonic the Hedgehog Adventures or something. Those
brutal designs of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
They used the robot designs from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which are, they're a little tougher edge. They're not cute at all. They're weird, maybe even a little scary.
Oh yeah, Arms used to haunt my nightmares.
But like in that sense, but when you think about it, it kind of made sense for them to do it at the time, because that kind of goes against the whole image that they were painting for the Genesis and Mega Drive in the West. That that fits that hardcore image a lot better than what Puyo Puyo did. But with Tetris Attack, they're just replacing cute characters with other cute characters.
Yeah, but they're not anime. They're not anime. They were very averse to anime back then. Like they didn't think it would sell.
Even though
it turned out
Yoshi characters were designed by Japanese artists.
And it is weird because, like I say, it is a first-party series, isn't it? And
it is a first-party series.
Yeah. And the thing is, there was that GameCube puzzle collection that came out in Japan only. That almost got a Western release, but was cancelled. And that had a remake of Panel Dupont on it as well, and Yoshi Cookie.
It did.
Dr. Mario.
I still remember when that collection was being advertised for a North American release. I was actually really excited for it.
Yeah,
I first learned about Panel Dupont from Super Smash Bros. Melee.
My first.
And then when I learned about it, I learned that's what Tetris Attack was in Japan, and I was like, oh man, I really want to see that.
Yeah,
and I mean, they were going to have that on the GameCube. What they were going to do was they were going to take Pokemon Puzzle League for the Nintendo 64 and replace all the Pokemon artwork with Panel Dupont artwork. But it would still have all the extra stuff that was included in the Nintendo 64 game, which itself didn't come out in Japan at all until the GameCube release.
No. I mean, my introduction with the series was Pokemon Puzzle League, so I was a bit late to playing those games, but that was very good, that game. That game holds up quite well.
Oh, yeah. Tetris Attack and Pokemon Puzzle League were both excellent games. And then I went back and played Tetris Attack as well, just to compare it with Panel Dupont, and I was surprised about how little had actually been changed going from Panel Dupont to Tetris Attack.
Just the backgrounds in the levels, really, isn't it?
No, even the backgrounds are still exactly the same.
Oh, really? Just not the characters?
Yeah, they switched out the characters and put in Yoshi characters that fit with those particular backgrounds. They only changed like maybe 2 or 3 music tracks and replaced them with the Yoshi's Island theme. And then, for the rest of it, the music is exactly the same. The backgrounds, the menus, all of it is completely the same. I was surprised. I thought they changed a lot more.
Yeah.
It's just an asset flip. One of the earliest asset flips for Nintendo.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, this is an official asset flip.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the name Tetris Attack is basically the only thing stopping them from releasing the North American version of the game.
It's boned them over now, because now they have to give us the Japanese version.
Yeah, now you have to let us see our anime fairy things.
It's a must.
It's not a total loss. If you can navigate the menus, you can play the game perfectly fine.
Yeah. Most people just care about the versus mode anyway, like they call the story mode versus mode, but
pretty much. I mean, Panel Dupont does have quite a niche competitive scene surrounding it.
Yeah.
So they'll still get their dues from that game, no matter which version it is.
Right. I guess that's what we've been playing. I think we should probably move on to the gaming news. Bing bong, bing bong. Yeah. All right. A couple of weeks ago, we mentioned about what's his name, Billy Mitchell suing YouTuber Apollo Legend, and Apollo Legend was going to sue him back. Just a quick update on that. He's actually withdrawing from suing him back, because basically he's just, he's had some advice on it, and it would basically be a really bad idea to do that, because it would be, his lawyer, who's probably all right, but versus Billy Mitchell's probably very expensive lawyer, and it's usually whoever's got the most expensive lawyer that wins. So
what happens when you have a massive source empire, I guess.
Massive source empire.
So more or less, I looked into this too, and from what I could find, Billy Mitchell doesn't have much of a leg to stand on.
No, exactly. So this is probably just going to end up being thrown out of court anyway.
Yeah, what's happening here is that Billy Mitchell, he's suing this guy because he's saying he's saying he's a cheater, and he's shown proof that he's a cheater. So if Billy Mitchell wants to prove he's in the right, he has to pretty much show the exact same proof that Apollo Legend is going to have to bring to court.
Also, you can go one step further than that. He said he called him a cheater. He never actually did that. He never actually called him a cheater.
Just
He
showed
said,
footage.
Okay, yeah.
He showed footage. He said that you used MAME, like you've been caught using MAME. He never used the word cheater, and he just said that he's been disavowed because of using MAME. So his wording is very specific.
Yeah. So that makes things even worse for Billy Mitchell.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing about this, right? This is being done in an American court of law, and in North America, when you sue someone for slander, you're essentially suing the freedom of speech, which is something we take very, very seriously here. People are allowed to say whatever the hell they want and not be prosecuted for it here. So if you want to prove that someone's telling lies, you really have to be prepared for that.
But yeah, basically, I just brought that little update up because it's kind of semi-related to this other bit of news, which is another lawsuit, another really pointless lawsuit. So basically, the football team, Manchester United, are suing Sega and Sports Interactive, who make the Football Manager games, over the unlicensed use of the name Manchester United.
Yeah, I did read a little bit into this, but I'm not as knowledgeable on European law as I am on North American law. So I think you guys are going to have to do most of the talking here.
Oh, thanks. But basically what it is Manchester United they license out the symbol, their badge. And because Football Manager, the Football Manager games, Managema games, that would be interesting.
God,
Football Majima
Majima really is everywhere.
He's got into
now
football.
Now he's invading our European football games. Amazing.
So basically, like, if they wanted to use their logo within Football Manager, they would have to pay a license for it. So obviously they haven't done that, and they've just used the name. Just a name. It's literally the town of Manchester with United slapped on the end of it. But now Manchester United are like, oh no, you can't use our name without also using the badge. So either pay us the license for the badge, or we will also fleece money out of you a different way for a lawsuit.
I mean, basically they're salty that they got.
Are you telling me that football's associated with corruption?
Yeah, I know.
What a shock!
I mean, I know that apparently.
So basically, oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was just saying, Manchester United are obviously on as top of the league these days. They're not like when I was younger. Manchester United were like that team that was like, oh, they're the best team in the universe.
They still think that, but
they still think they are, but apparently they're like mid-tier now. So maybe this is why they're grabbing at straws.
Trying to get some easy money.
So basically, this is like if, say, there was a basketball game that didn't have the NBA license.
Yep.
So instead of using the Chicago Bulls along with the Chicago Bulls logo, they say, I don't know, the Chicago Bills or something.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that really. It's not even that really.
No, because with basketball, you've got like a name that's sort of almost made up. You've got the town, and then like you'd have like I don't know, Chicago Bulls. To use that is clearly that sort of you're talking about that team specifically, But with Manchester United, all football clubs are something United generally or something City.
And there's also Manchester City.
Manchester City. So Manchester's a town, and United is just what we put at the end of a football club name. So it's like they've basically said, we're not talking about you though. It's another Manchester United. And we don't have your logo, and they were like, this is just disingenuous, and it's like, so
all right, I get it.
Yeah, so
but that but that helps clarify things for our North American listeners.
Yeah, like if you were like Miami Dolphins, you're clearly talking about the Miami Dolphins in the NFL, but you're not necessarily talking about Manchester United as such. It's a bit different. If you use the badge, then you would have to admit
makes
it.
Sense.
Yeah. So I guess it's a little bit of a grey area, morally speaking, but it's
not like they're the only football team in the Football Manager. They're basically all in there.
Yeah, and they said that they've never bothered them about this before.
Yeah, exactly. No other team has ever bothered them on Man U. Have never bothered them in all the years they've been making this annual series.
Yeah, that's weird. You know what this is like? This is like that time that Axl Rose, the singer from Guns N' Roses, excuse me, he tried to sue I think it was Activision for Guitar Hero 3's use of the name and likeness for Slash. Who used to be the guitarist for Guns N' Roses. And I'm pretty sure he didn't actually do that until I don't know, almost 10 years since Guitar Hero 3 came out.
That's what always makes these lawsuits feel fishy, is why they didn't do it straight away. It's like they're waiting till it's made as much money as physically possible, and then going, let's see how much we can get out of them many years down the line.
Like by that point, Guitar Hero 3 had already sold a ton of money. It was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure you'd have to know about this because that game uses a Guns N' Roses song, and not even a cover. It's one of the games where they use the master recording, so he'd have to know about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think with regards to this specific case, it's like they've made 4 of these games before, I think, in the past, and obviously Manchester United have been notified of these games in the past, and they said nothing in the past, and now they suddenly have a problem, and it sounds to me that either they've a light's gone off in their head and they were like, hang on, we can go after them over this, or they were just waiting to see how much of a franchise this could be, a bit like what happened with CD Projekt Red and The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
And the original author originally said, oh yeah, you just pay me a one-time payment and you can have the license forever, thinking that because he didn't really care about video games, and realized that, hang on, this makes a lot of money. Now I want to renegotiate our license. And it's like, well, you can't do that. You can't, you know? So
the absolute best thing about this specific lawsuit is the current manager of Manchester United has actually said in interviews that he cut his teeth on Football Manager before he became an actual football manager.
Wow.
So obviously it's nothing to do. Obviously it's nothing to do with him because he's not the one suing them. But at the same time, that's just really funny that it's probably just like the higher ups,
or just their legal team is acting on their own, like what happened with Sega, and they were going after Shining Force content randomly on YouTube.
Yeah, that turned out to be someone higher up.
It might have been like that.
Yeah. I think it's because like Manchester United, even if they're not considered like the best team in the world right now, that name is known worldwide.
It holds weight.
It holds weight more than most football teams do. It's just this is probably just going to get thrown out of court as well at this point. I don't know.
I think so. You can't make them use the logo.
As I say, they're just going to do what old sports games did and just change them into Manchester United or something like that. And just change, like when they used to always put like this name up, like fake names, didn't they, for footballers?
What they should do is let you have like a version of Manchester United that's slightly misspelled, and then just let you have a name edit in the game. So you just call your football team whatever you want, and then you can still call it Manchester United. So that would be the best way to get around it, I think.
Apparently, they're also saying that they're going to try and ask to get fan-made mods included in part of the claim. In some way, because obviously, like there's mods for the game that actually add the logos back in, but like that's a complete legal grey area in itself, really, because that stuff's just put in by fans for themselves. That's not part of the product that they're selling.
No, that's just you can't really control that, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of like when when people put like a licensed character into a game via a mod.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
like
can't
when people
put
put
rights to that.
like whatever character they want in Skyrim, for example.
Oh,
Yeah,
towards the tank ones.
You can make it harder for people. Like Bethesda is something Bethesda tried to do before, where they had their official store and tried to get rid of actual mods by like enforcing that. But you can't, if you have no policy on mods whatsoever, which, let's be honest, you shouldn't be forced to have a policy on mods one way or the other. And if fans take on themselves to mod your game, then okay, Sarah, what can you do? So yeah,
especially when they're not even charging people for those mods.
Yeah, Bethesda.
Yes, Bethesda.
It does kind of remind me of the Shenmue mods I've been doing, like putting the old Coca-Cola vending machines in and putting the time Xbox.
Yeah, that would be like Coca-Cola suing Sega for using Coca-Cola in a mod of Shenmue.
Yeah, exactly. It's none of their business, really, is it? You
No.
know?
Yeah,
it's not like they can stop people from doing that anyway. Even if they told people, hey, we don't want you doing this.
They might be able to make it harder, but are they obligated to?
Exactly.
You know? That's the thing. It's the thing. Same thing with YouTube, isn't it? It's like, should they be obligated to do all this? I know YouTube wants to because they want to appease advertisers, but like, they're not actually obligated, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind
of. So
Yeah.
another weird little footnote, and I just want to mention this one because I think it's quite amusing, and it's kind of related to where I live now because they're a Nottingham company. But Warhammer, or Games Workshop, who are they're a Nottingham company, they're apparently now worth more than British Gas.
Yeah. Now that's a negative statement.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just saw this sentence of this article. I was like, that's the most random thing I've ever read.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how much British Gas is worth, so I don't have any context for that.
Well, it's on here actually. I think basically Games Workshop, they own Warhammer and a few other things. They're worth just over the amount of the company that owns British Gas called Centrica. And basically British Gas is just one of many companies that company owns. So it's just weird that this company that makes little toys that you paint makes more money than British Gas now.
You know why they're worth so much bloody money? It's because they charge so bloody much.
That might have something to do with it. But then so does British Gas.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, I've dabbled in Warhammer in the past, and it's a very expensive hobby. And now I've built other model kits, I can say that like they're really taking the piss because the plastic is not worth that much. I'll pay as much for a tiny little free little Warhammer figures as I will for a full size like robot model kit from Japan with postage and all that included. And it's just like you are taking the piss, And I saw they released like Bandai worked with Games Workshop recently to make a model kit. And it's like this, and it was like Bandai make the Gundam ones, and it's about the same size as a normal Gundam kit. And the normal Gundam kit I buy from Japan £6 to £12 without postage. This one £80, just because it's Games Workshop. So even the Star Wars model kits by Bandai ain't that expensive because obviously they have to pay a licensing fee. So it's just because they're a massive rip-off, and they've sort of instead of having a white.
But I suppose when you think about it, what would you rather pay for? Would you rather pay for gas?
I'd rather have
would
the
you
gas.
rather pay for little... Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think what way to spin this.
I mean, I don't play Warhammer, and I also don't live.
Neither do I.
Okay, so.
No, and they're a company that they don't care. Like when it comes to video games, they do not care about quality control at all.
No.
They just licensing it to whoever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Sodom. I have a personal little bugbear with Games Workshop, so.
That's fair.
Well, at least Sega made some good Warhammer games when they had the license.
Yeah, when they were the sole holder. Yeah.
Yeah, they did have it for a while, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's probably why. That's probably partially why they are worth as much as they are now. Actually, I bet the game's probably really bolstered their value.
Yeah, I did hear that their actual sales of the physical game have dropped dramatically, and it's only a matter of time before they're gone, simply because 3D printing.
Yeah,
they
that
can't
might
pretend that people can't make their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So and you might call that underhanded, but Sodom,
And you can't print your own gas.
Yes, that's true. As I know.
No.
I don't know. I literally saw that sentence, and that's all I needed to mention it.
Yeah, it was quite an amusing title, wasn't it?
It's just like when I saw it, I was like, "What? What am I looking at?"
What was the person who thought of that going through their head? They were going through like, "Oh, Games Workshop's worth this much money." It's like that's exactly what British Gas is worth.
I'm going to write an article about it. Genius. Yeah. This is why I'm a games journalist. Because I come up with random stuff like this. Trying to think what else we can talk about. Apparently, Sega has plans for the 30th anniversary of Sonic next year, but they're going to be very tight-lipped about it for probably the next year. By sound of it.
Yeah, I was to see.
I was just about to remind you of this. Yeah.
Does anyone have any speculation?
Well, one of the things they've said is they've basically made it now so the game, they're going to spend more time on the Sonic games.
Yes.
Like they've said, they're going to put, more resources into it and make it more of a big deal for the company, because usually, how much effort they put into the Yakuza games and then how little they put into Sonic games sometimes. Saying that, they're saying that now, but they literally said that before, years ago, and they spent 4 years sitting on their asses doing absolutely nothing and then just shut out Sonic Forces. So they can't bloody talk. They literally went from Sonic Generations, massive gap, Sonic Forces. It's just like, apparently they spent...
Sonic Lost World came out between those games, though.
Yeah, that was rushed as well.
Yeah,
they almost don't know how to not rush a Sonic game. It's like, oh, this game's about being fast. Got to go fast. We've got to throw it out as quick as possible. Even if there's no deadline, just do it anyway.
I mean, I do think it's the right idea to take your time, but it's a case of, is that going to mean anything when it comes to Sega?
Exactly. Is that going to mean anything in terms of Sonic Team? Because I think they're the main issue here. It's not a Sega thing. It's a Sonic Team thing. They've never ever been good at time management or like.
I mean, it's worth pointing out that, and I don't know how true this is, but a lot of people say that in the time that it took them to make Sonic Forces, they also spent most of the time. That time working on the Hedgehog engine too.
That's true. Yeah, for them 4 years, apparently 2 years of it was that. Yeah, yeah. So they only actually spent They only spent about.
But at the same time, and I think this had a lot more to do with it. But during the development of Sonic Forces, that's when Sega worldwide was going through a massive restructure, especially here in North America, where a lot of the development for Sonic games happens usually today.
Basically, they spent about 1.5 years on Sonic Forces, and then about 2 years before that on the Hedgehog engine too, didn't they? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and plus,
they spent like
during the
2 years.
Plus, during the restructure, they also had a lot of layoffs, including a bunch of staff from Sonic Team who worked on games like Generations.
Yeah.
So people noticed that Forces was lacking a lot of the level designers that also worked on Generations.
Yeah, I think that's
so
also
when they said in the reveal trailer that it was from the same team that brought you Sonic Colors and Generations, it didn't end up being entirely accurate.
Yeah.
It was the same type of game as those two, but it wasn't exactly the same team.
No. Oh, you could definitely tell with Forces that they didn't have the same level designers, because you could tell that Forces was the same level designers as Lost World, because it was mostly garbage.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, they spent this time on the Hedgehog engine too, and it's just like, but did you
2 years on a slightly better lighting engine.
Like,
that's all the Hedgehog engine is.
And I guess the game is 4K compliant too. And it does legitimately look really good.
But that's not the issue.
One of the things, no, exactly. The engine is not the issue. They've got the engine now. They just need to actually put effort into the levels.
They need to make the level design good.
So they don't have to make an engine anymore. So as long as they have as long as they have more time to make the game, and as long as they're not delaying the game at the last minute when they get to the point where the delay's not going to matter anymore, they might come up with something good.
Yeah, that's assuming that they're not making Hedgehog Engine 3, though.
Exactly. You don't know about this one.
You don't know what they're using this time for. It may not have anything to do with making a game that's well designed so much as having a hard-on for a new engine, you know?
They might not even be making the same game anymore, because they might not have the same gameplay style that Forces and Generations.
No.
That's what I'm kind of hoping at this point. I feel like they've run the course with that formula now. I think they need to come up with something new. But at the same time, every time they come up with something new, they mess it up in a different way. So it's hard to know where. Yeah, it's really hard to figure out what's going to work.
It's created such a big rabbit hole that they've gone down now. That
it's got
itself in this cycle. And I'll be the first to say, when a Sonic game's good, it's good. But when has it really been legitimately fantastic lately? You know, like not other than Mania.
Exactly, Mania is the only time I can think of that. Mania is the only thing I can think of that's legitimately great, you know.
And it's probably some of their best stuff, if not their best stuff. It's just
because it's not their stuff, is it? It's a bunch of fans. It was like some fans made that and just showed them how to do it. It's like, this is a Sonic game.
Like I know people get upset about the whole they're never going to port Sonic 3 and Knuckles again, and while that is a little bit sad, it's like if I've got Sonic Mania now, I'm okay.
I'll
survive.
Yeah, I've still got Sonic 3 on my Mega Drive and my Saturn. I'm fine. I don't. Yeah. That's not a desperate need to have a re-release of that.
I'd love it on Switch,
It'd be nice.
But,
Yeah, it would be nice to have, but it's not a necessity. I'd rather have Mania 2, to be honest.
I'd say there's other Sonic games that are probably in more desperate need of a port. You know, stuff like Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, and then stuff for preservation's sake.
And then even a few of the post Dreamcast games could do with a re-release.
Sonic 06 remastered.
Well, not Sonic 06. I mean,
though, if they did announce that as their remaster, I would have to buy it. You know, I would just have to. I would be so curious.
Maybe if they remade that game with the original vision they had in mind, there might be something to that.
There's nothing. There's nothing. You could not polish that turd. There's nothing. All the polish in the world wouldn't fix that game.
I'm pretty sure they don't want to reuse any assets from the original game. They certainly don't want to reuse the game engine. No.
But I think it's like that. If you call 06 Adventure era Sonic, I think that it's one of those things where when you think back to Sonic Adventure era, it's not as great as I remember. It's not bad. I still like it, and I have the same issues of Mario 64 as well. You know, I don't hold it to some special standard that a lot of people do. But
no, it's important to remember that every old game ages. That's an inevitability.
Some worse than others, though.
Like definitely.
True.
Yeah, you know, I can go back and play Mario or Mega Drive Sonic. It's fine. You know.
Yeah, so you can't really go back to any old game and pretend it's perfect and will always be perfect.
No, but also by the same token, you can't, like when you had that thing where they were saying, Sonic was never good. Some articles were saying, and it's like, well, hang on, that's ridiculous. Like Sonic on the Mega Drive was good, you know.
That is total BS.
Yeah, they were saying that you need to get like a, what do they call it, like a, you know, you just never really thought about it. But if you really think about it, Sonic was never fun. And it's like, I just don't think you. I don't know. I mean,
there's people out there who actually tried Sonic and didn't really like it, and if that's you, that's completely fine. You're allowed to dislike something.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of old games that I personally don't like, and I hesitate to say that they're bad because they have some appeal.
That's the problem. Yeah. The biggest problem with the whole Sonic was never good thing is that it's usually, and I hate to say it's usually American people that grew up with Nintendo, never played Sonic games until recently, and they just don't understand the completely different style of that platformer. And they're just like, oh, that's bad. That's bad because it's not Mario. And I feel the same way about some 2D Mario games when I play those, because I didn't play them as a kid. I didn't play them much as a kid. I am rubbish at them. I'm complete rubbish at Mario 2D games. If I try to jump on an enemy, I jump in front of it almost every bloody time. You probably noticed it on the Mario Maker streams. I can't even navigate Mario games properly, but I wouldn't dare to call those bad. I would say, no, Mario was never good because I keep dying. I'm just rubbish at them. I know I'm rubbish at them. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get used to the physics of Mario. Much like how a lot of people that grew up with Nintendo don't get used to how Sonic jumps or how how he runs and all the.
No, exactly.
It's in my case, it's kind of like with NES games because I didn't grow up with NES because I wasn't born yet, and I have a harder time with most NES games compared to even a couple of Super Nintendo games that I didn't grow up with, like Operation Logic Bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I get that to a degree with NES games. Certain NES games can be obtuse. I find that they can play well.
Obtuse, yeah.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't play well, but a decent chunk of them do. But they can be quite obtuse sometimes.
Yeah.
But like Mario 2, not that it was obtuse, but when you were saying about Mario games, I'm not good at Mario 2, for example. So it's not exactly one of my favourite Mario games.
That's actually the one that I'm better at. Because it's floatier and you don't just immediately die if you jump on an enemy the wrong way. I always feel like I somehow managed to be a pixel off from the enemy's head. Whereas obviously in Sonic, as long as you're in a ball, you're gonna smash the Bannock. Like it doesn't matter where you hit it, unless it's got like spikes on its head or something. But with Mario enemies, I do always feel like I'm just like landing a pixel off. It's like, well, I'm dead now.
Both platforms, different skill sets. It's like saying Crash plays the same. It's like it's not just because it's 3D. It's because Crash has this real sort of like meatiness to his jump that Mario do not have, and it's a different feel, and
very different. You can't really compare them, to be honest.
If Sega were to remaster a Sonic game, I know that's probably not even what they're doing, but if they were to remaster one game from their catalog, what would you like to see? I think
I would like to see them completely remake Sonic Adventure 1 because I feel like that game has so much potential that's been held back by its age.
Absolutely,
that if they redid that from scratch, redid all the voice acting, redid all the all, how it plays and everything, but kept it true to sort of like what they've done with like the Crash Bandicoot remake, the Spyro remake, but instead of just being like an enhanced graphics reskin over the top of the original code, recode it from scratch as well. Just recode it from scratch. Just do it again, but find ways to make it. Because I feel like that of the 3D Sonic games, that's still my favourite one, despite
the Crash and Spyro remakes were also coded from the start, but those were done in such a way to completely imitate the way the original game worked. Same with the Panzer Dragoon remake. The type of remake you're thinking of is more like, say, the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yes, exactly. That's the treatment I'm thinking. Like, just do it from scratch. It's a re-envisionment. It doesn't even have to have any of the original assets.
No.
Yeah, it could be just built from scratch.
I completely agree, though. I would love to see something like that. And even the head of Sonic team, Takashi Iizuka, has said that he would really love to make Sonic Adventure. Of course, a lot of people misinterpreted that into him saying that they're definitely about to remake it.
That's not really happening. Rumors swimming around, I
can't see it, but
people. It's one of those rumors where I think people only believe it's true because they really, really, really want it to be true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy with it, but I'm also not like, they're definitely doing it because they drew a bit of Sonic Adventure themed artwork on their Twitter account. That's not. That's just called fan service.
I think for me, I'd love to see something like Sega, like the Sega Master System Sonic games.
Maybe give it the Mania treatment.
Yeah,
do like Mania, but with all the Master System stuff. That's really
I know
cool.
that's right. That would never, ever, ever happen. But
there is a lot of nods to the Master System games in Sonic Mania.
Yes, there is. Silver Sonic and all that.
It's already kind of happening because there are fans that are doing Mania. There is a group of fans doing a Mania-style remake of Sonic Chaos.
Yeah, we featured that on the stream once.
And then there's another Sonic fan creator working right now on a Sonic 3 and Knuckles style remake of Sonic Triple Trouble.
Nice.
Oh,
so you do have. So fans came up with this idea, but
fans have got you cut. If you start counting fan games, if they can have you covered on any idea you ever have for Sonic games, like they've probably got you covered in some fashion.
Of course, it's important to remember that fans are only really capable of making fully realized 2D games. They can't do so with 3D games. So for the time being, if you want to remake a Sonic Adventure, for example, Sega might be able to do that at some point.
I say that to the person who put all of the Sonic Unleashed levels into Sonic for Sonic.
That was just repurposing assets that were already made for a previous.
Oh yeah, but it's not a one-to-one thing though. Like Sonic Generations.
Rejig stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all the mechanics from Unleashed were in Generations.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, it's less likely that Sega would remake a 2D game, even if they work with fans like with Mania, because there's already fans that do that kind of thing all the time.
While I don't think it's impossible, I just don't think that Sega really acknowledges the Master System Sonic games as a real,
No.
I think it's mainly because they weren't actually developed in-house by Sega.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain feel to those games that I not prefer, but I feel that they did the smart thing when making a Master System version of Sonic.
You bought Polyroll, didn't you?
Me?
I mean,
Have you played Polyroll yet?
No, I haven't.
Because if you like the Master System style of Sonic, I would highly recommend Polyroll, because that game feels like a 16-bit version of the Master System Sonic games.
I will look into that,
I think you'll really dig that game.
Polyroll.
It was Elk.
I did buy Polyroll. It is a lot like that, actually.
Yeah, if you're looking for something that feels like Master System Sonic enhanced, then get Polyroll, because that game really feels like Master System Sonic.
I think I remember you showing me the trailer of that before, showing it in the chat before, and it was like
the feel of it's a lot more. Don't know how you call it. What you call
platformer.
Yeah, more of a traditional platformer than Sonic is, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as much focus on loops and
exactly.
things like that. And it's not got that thing where the higher you are, the faster you go, because it's not. It's more of a maze.
Yes.
To put it that kind of way. And like I say, I'm not saying that that's necessarily objectively better, but I just think it's fresh and it's nice.
It's a nice interpretation of Sonic based on the limitation. Obviously, they had to do it for limitation reasons, but it did give those 8-bit Sonic games a certain flavour that was interesting.
Unique.
You know?
Yeah, it's like Mario. It's like you have several ways to do 3D. You have the collector star style Mario games like Mario 64 and Galaxy and all that, and then you have stuff like New Super Mario Brothers, which is more of a 3D revision of the classic Mario formula, where you have to race to the goal.
I feel the same way about Mario's Game Boy games as you do with the 8-bit Sonic games. I'd really like to see Nintendo acknowledge the 8-bit game era a bit more. A remake of Land 2 would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice for those games to be re-released more often, especially with the Game Boy stuff from Nintendo. They really should have that on Nintendo Switch alongside the NES and SNES games.
Yeah, I mean, cool. At Donkey Kong 94, is it 94, or the one that's on the Game Boy?
Oh yeah,
it's called Donkey Kong, but it's popularly referred to as Donkey Kong 94. Yes. Yeah. Kind of like with Sonic 06, how its official name is actually Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. I would love to see that remade or just put on the Switch. Because that's such a fresh take on the original Donkey Kong. You know,
it really is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I just love how. Sorry,
go on.
I was going to say I love how it starts as the normal Donkey Kong game, basically.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah,
and then it opens up.
99 or more levels, and the style of game is completely different.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's so good. All right, I think that'll do for the news. There wasn't really a lot, to be honest. We found some little things. So now we'll just move on to the main topic, which is also semi-news as well, is the fact that Pac Man is 40 years old. Than all of us. I think he's older than every one of us here.
Yep.
That's right. The man with the pack, the homie Pac Man.
Or as he was originally named, Puck Man, until they realised that people would start felt tipping the cabinet, so it says something else. So they had to change it.
Oh yeah, and then I guess they just adapted that name worldwide at some point. But Pac-Man sounds better than Puck-Man anyways.
Pac-Man, yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of the name is like, it's an onomatopoeia thing. Yeah, Puckle. That's kind of what I don't know where the whole puck thing came from. Just like, he looks like a hockey puck.
He was eating the pizza or something, wasn't he? And then
it's like took one slice out, went.
Oh yeah, that was
started mushing the pizza up and down. Like, so it looks like eating. I've got it! I've got a game! Guys, write this down. My hands are covered in pepperoni, but write this down.
Game development was a lot simpler in the 1970s.
Just a tad.
Just a wee bit.
It's funny because I sort of got into like playing really classic score-based single screen arcade games a little while back now, but I just got into them again. And Pac Man was one I got into because I got that Namco Museum on the Switch.
Nice.
And oh my god, that game plays so well still.
Exactly. It is one of the most timeless games ever made. It's 40 years old and it still plays. Like the AI of
and
the
it's
ghost
is
just still
interested.
Everywhere. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course.
Not just Switch, but like there's a really nice free to play version on mobile devices. In fact, they actually add a lot through updates with the free to play game. It's actually really interesting. Like they do a lot of special events. They have a lot of interesting new maps they make.
Does anyone remember that Google Map thing they did once?
Oh yeah,
where they actually let you play a game of Pac Man on any map you want.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I was like, he's eating dots past on my road. That was great. Just wanted to see if anyone's got any particular favourite games. I'm going to try and exclude, because everyone's just going to say Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, because let's be honest, those games are timeless and they're perfect. They're like Tetris. You can't really fault them. You try to expand on them, and there's
just kneecap me there.
Yeah.
not to mention most new Pac-Man games include the original arcade game anyway. Sometimes they also have Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see.
One of those games, if you've played one of those games, chances are you've played Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man within that game.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you what one of my favourite was. It was one that me and Gagaman played at EAG. It was that co-op one.
Is that
the world's largest Pac-Man, but they had a co-op mode. Yes, that was really clever, the way they implemented
They even tweaked the game, didn't they? Like the coding to make it so it kind of worked in a more cooperative way. That was honestly my favourite, because it's essentially the original, but just massive on a really cool screen and co-op.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that's my favourite one.
Okay. Because
I've played World's Largest Pac-Man before. It's cool. It's really nothing special compared to the original. It has a giant ass screen.
Yeah.
It's just really cool seeing it in action.
Yeah.
But that co-op mode that they added is really fun though.
I mean, that was like a whole other thing. We played it for ages, didn't we?
We did. Yeah.
We were clearing screen after screen.
What was that?
I'd say probably because I'm saying what are some of your favourite ones? I feel like the best Pac-Man games are the ones where it's basically the original formula with a small twist. So I think my favourite ones are probably Championship Edition 1, Deluxe.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I bought that the other day.
And Battle Royale. The arcade 4-player.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love Battle Royale. That game is amazing.
That was
I've
really
played
fun.
both of those too.
Yeah, it's just Pac Man, but you can eat each other. There's 4 of them, and you have to be the first. You have to try and eat each other by getting the big power pellet and becoming a giant Pac Man, like I found.
Then you've got gems like Pac Man 2.
I kind of unironically love that stupid game. Yes, we've got a whole let's play of that on the channel. If you haven't seen it.
That's
fun.
right, we did.
That game is special.
You know what? I had that game on Super Nintendo as well. I used to really enjoy that game, actually.
Like, everyone takes the piss out of it, but I think it's quite funny.
It does have its moments.
Yeah.
Oh man, the really smug sprite of him in that.
Just some of the things you could do in that, like a berry falls on the floor and you're like, make him eat that, and then he'll just get poisoned and he'll just be like running around all drunk or something, and he just gets really pissed off and starts kicking things, and then he'll inadvertently like blow something up, or just all these really bizarre little things you can do in that game. It really does actually kind of feel like an interactive cartoon in kind of a fun way. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, that game's bad because it's called Pac Man 2, but it's nothing like Pac Man. It's like the name doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know why they called it Pac Man 2.
At the same time, I do wonder what made them call it Pac Man 2, but even more so, I wonder how they came up with the idea of the game in the first place.
Yeah, I think they looked at that Hanna-Barbera cartoon that was being made and were like, oh, we could make something kind of like this, because I think that's what Pac-Land was supposed to be as well.
Yeah.
Maybe. But even at the
Pac-Land's
time,
kind of awful.
But at the time, there were next to no other 16-bit games that were like Pac Man 2.
No,
even
really
the
wasn't.
Even the point-and-click adventure games that were on computers, Pac-Man 2 doesn't give you the same amount of control as those kind of games.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
No, the main character...
He just ignores you.
Pac-Man in this case, he does whatever he wants, and you just have to influence his attention as best as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, my first Pac-Man game is probably one of my favorites, if I'm not allowed to use the original. I had Pac-Mania on the Master System growing up.
Nice. That's the isometric one.
That's the isometric one, yeah. Pac-Mania, yeah. I really like that. I don't know how well that game's received, generally speaking, but...
I really like the arcade version of it.
The arcade. There's a really good ROM hack of the Mega Drive version that makes it more accurate to the arcade one. That's pretty cool. The only thing with Pac-Mania is you can't see the board. This is one of my biggest pet peeves with Pac-Man stuff, is when you can't see the whole map.
Yeah.
I guess, but then that's why they added the jump, because then if a ghost just comes in from off screen, then you can just jump over it. So
it was quite satisfying at the time.
Yeah, it's incredibly satisfying.
I mean, the game came out in 1987, and throughout the 80s, with only a very few exceptions like Pac-Land, there were a lot of Pac-Man games that came out at the time, and usually they had to do some... it was just like the original Pac-Man, but with some slight changes to it, and Pac-Mania was definitely the most ambitious.
That was probably the closest thing to a Pac-Man 2 at the time.
Yeah, that was kind of like an actual Pac-Man 2, wasn't it?
In a way, it was like, now you can jump, and it looks pretty.
But before that, you had stuff like Pac and Pal or Super Pac-Man.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think those are bad. They're pretty bad.
Any one of those, in my opinion, could have easily been called Pac-Man 2.
I guess. I feel like those are...
Quality aside, it was... In those cases, and this is also with Pac-Mania, well, not so with Pac-Mania. With those games, they were basically taking the exact same type of graphics, the same one maze, and they put in some kind of twist to it just to say it's different. And with Pac-Mania, it was more ambitious because all the graphics were completely done from scratch.
Yeah.
So they changed the rules, and at the same time, they didn't change the rules.
Yeah. Well, the thing with a lot of those like sequels to Pac-Man or like the spin-offs of Pac-Man, most of them weren't by Namco; they were by Midway, and some of them were technically Namco didn't even want them to exist in some cases.
Well, yeah, most of those revisions were not made by Namco. Pac-Man Plus, Miss Pac-Man, those were made by ROM hackers, pretty much.
Yeah,
Namco And then Namco just bought up the rights and turned them into official sequels.
Sort of.
Pac-Mania and Pac-Land were stuff that were actually made in-house at Namco.
I mean, let's be honest. I think probably safe to say the most well-received Pac-Man game is Ms. Pac-Man.
Yep.
I would think so too.
That's Pac-Man 2, let's be honest.
Yeah,
that's the only way they could improve the original is just making it slightly different.
Yeah, and like I say, that's not even it's not even a Namco game, and Namco developed the game, and but it did keep the spirit of the original game.
Oh, definitely,
It had very clever. I'd say it had the most clever changes made to it of all the 80s Pac-Man games. It didn't change too much. Like, it didn't really rewrite the rules. They just came up with the idea of having the mazes change between each round, which I'm surprised the original Pac-Man didn't do.
No, I guess they weren't rethinking those terms then.
And then in most cases, arcade operators also put in the fast option, so Miss Pac-Man zooms around like Sonic. She goes much faster. And I don't think that was something you could do in the original Pac-Man.
No, it got faster as the game went on, but
it did go faster, but it didn't start off at supersonic speeds.
No. Unless you're playing like a hacked version of the arcade machine, like I did once.
Oh yeah,
that was I think that was
Rainbow Edition.
It was literally Miss Pac-Man, but someone had hacked. Like, apparently, you can actually get chips that you can put into the original machines that will just make Pac-Man go incredibly fast. And the thing with those is, like, the ghosts don't even know what to do because you're going so fast they can't keep up with where you are.
No,
so they're just like, what do I do? You can just run circles around them and they can't do anything.
Growing up, I didn't understand like how much nuance Pac-Man, the original game, had. I assumed it was just you go around the maze and the ghosts try and catch you and they move around semi-randomly. But they have AI. They have different AI. You know, and it's quite clever.
It is actually incredibly clever how it works. Like, each one has a different behaviour. One of them follows the other one, and
like one of them is especially designed to try and cut you off.
Yes.
And the other one's designed to go straight for you. One likes to hang around the top left-hand corner, you know. Yeah. And they go through phases where, like, every, I think it's 15 seconds or something, they'll go to aggressive mode, and then they'll go to running away mode, so they're not always on your tail. And also, there's a thing where you move round corners faster if you hold the direction as you're going around it, if you know what I mean. So if you tap it as you get to that corner, you won't be going as fast round that corner as if you were holding it. You go 15% faster, I think. So if you want to outrun ghosts, that's how you do it. You just run around the maze while holding the direction ahead of time.
Exactly. I think the thing with
it's a little difficult to do it on the mobile version if you're playing with touch controls, though.
Have I gone on?
I was going to say, obviously we're too young to really have experienced it, but when Pac-Man came out, there were like people making like not just strategy guides, but like whole books about how to master Pac-Man, and it was such a big deal. Like, everyone it was a phenomenon, really, when you think about it.
This was
also even in Space Invaders.
Pac-Man was that big of a tour de force when it came out. This was the very first defining character with representing video games, not just the 80s, but I'd say all video game history ever.
Yeah, it was the first character.
Before that, you had stuff like Asteroids and Space Invaders, which also did take the world by storm, but they didn't have a specific recognizable character attached to them.
Not really, no.
It was Namco that did these revisions that sort of mixed things up. Galaga and Pac Man were two games that really sort of they really made these sort of things different. Not that there's anything necessarily like Pac Man before Pac Man, but
right. And then this ended up paving the way to characters like Mario, Link, Sonic, Master Chief. You know, characters that you could that are easily recognizable that you can attach to video games and have be able to relate to.
It's weird because they say like Donkey Kong's the first game with like characters, but like, is it though? I mean,
Pac-Man is the first.
Pac-Man is the first.
Donkey Kong could be argued as the first game that had clear progression shown in its gameplay.
Yeah, but the argument they tend to make. Sorry.
Pac-Man didn't really tell a story, but it did have animations in between, like every 3 or 5 levels, I think.
I love those little
and
things.
then Miss Pac-Man did the same thing, except with Miss Pac-Man, that sort of told a story with the intermission animations, which could probably be seen as the very first cutscenes in a video game.
They are considered the first cutscenes.
Yeah.
They are literally the first cutscenes in a video game.
You could make the argument that Donkey Kong has the first story, but I think you're pushing it. I mean, if you can say that has a story, then you can say that those intermissions in Pac-Man are like storytelling. You know?
Yeah, they are storytelling.
I mean,
they're basic, but they are storytelling.
Pac-Man, you absolutely can, because there's progression in them. You have the first intermission where Miss Pac-Man meets Pac-Man, and then you have another where they have a kid. But I don't think that, and you'll have to excuse me because it's been a while since I played the original Pac-Man, but I don't particularly remember if the intermission cutscenes in that game actually went anywhere.
I don't think so.
Was just, they didn't have like a progression in them. It just had Pac-Man and the ghosts doing silly things.
Yeah.
But they didn't really connect with one another in any meaningful way.
No.
Well, no, that's because it's an ancient game. But it's 40 years old.
Yeah, and 40 years is a very long time for things to progress.
Yeah, you think how much technology's evolved in 40 years.
Including bringing...
Pretty soon, video games in general will be half a century old.
Yeah.
It won't be long.
No, but but then we got... As time goes on, they actually try to put more personality. Like in the cartoon series where Pac-Man's like a sort of edgy teenager, and
oh god, there have been some missteps with Pac-Man occasionally. I don't think they really knew what to do with the character, because let's be honest, he's a very simplistic character. There's only so much you can do with a circle that eats things. It is a very simplistic character with a very simplistic design made during very simplistic times. And I'm pretty sure they didn't plan this out back then. With Mario, they eventually figured it out, even though Mario is almost as old.
I mean, it's funny because Midway both did a great thing for Pac-Man with Mrs. Pac-Man, but that by the same token, they also ran it into the ground for a while.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
With a lot of these games that came out, I think Pickle Man said in the chat, Baby Pac-Man was a half pinball, half game thing.
I did look at that recently.
I was looking.
That one is weird.
Yeah, I was looking.
But also not too surprising that most other games didn't try something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's just one of those things that it was at a time, where people were just throwing things at the wall to see what would stick, And
Pac-Man stuck, so they're like, let's make it stick again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
This time we'll put loads of keys and it's stuff with the ghost morph and stuff. It's
weird. They were making Pac-Man sequels, but I don't think people were not playing Pac-Man. It was a big game. Did it need a sequel? People were going to play Pac-Man if there weren't another type of Pac-Man arcade game out there.
Those other spin-offs flopped because they weren't, what people liked about the original one. They just had too many weird gimmicks to them, like Pac and Pow and stuff like that. They were just
exactly,
ridiculously complicated.
Which would bring me into one of my favorite Pac-Man games from the past, which would be Pac-Man World on the PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Which is easily one of the biggest, most drastic changes that have been made to Pac-Man over the years, besides Pac-Man 2, I guess. But Pac-Man World, that one was more like a 3D platformer. That gave you I remember that several levels to go to, where you have to get to the exit. You had puzzles to solve, you had enemies to fight. But at the same time, they still put in the original rules to Pac-Man in certain ways that I kind of liked.
Yeah.
So you still had the ghosts pop up in certain levels that could only be defeated once you have a power pellet, for example. You still had the fruits that you had to pick up, which unlocked doors to bonus rooms, some of which led to a bonus Pac-Man maze that you had to go through completely in 3D. where the rules are the same as the original Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And then at the same time,
did anyone
they
ever
expanded
play? Did anyone ever play Pac Man Arrangement?
No.
That's a pretty good one. I played it on the Game Boy Advance. It's on that collection.
I think I might have played that.
That one's really good. Again, it's essentially just Pac-Man with nicer graphics, but there's different kinds of ghosts, and sometimes the ghosts can sort of like fuse together and become a bigger, tougher one. And there's like boost pads on the floor that can make you just like fly into the ghosts and eat them that way. That's a really fun one.
PSP version.
Yeah, it's really fun actually. I quite like that one.
Yeah, I do remember playing that once, but I didn't spend too much time with it.
Does anyone have any favourite like clones of Pac-Man?
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up clones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess the only clone that comes to my mind at the moment would be Fantasy Zone: The Maze on the Master System.
Good choice. Very good choice. Yeah.
No,
that is essentially Pac-Man, but with
that's
bullets.
One of the few Master System games I own, and I actually kind of like it a lot.
That game is actually really good.
One I played a lot was Haunted Maze on the PlayStation, the NetEuroze game.
Wow, yeah. I remember that.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a thing. Yeah, like it wasn't obviously released publicly. It was just sort of one of the demo discs you would get for PlayStation would come with loads of these sort of, I guess, fan-made games. Some of them went on to do big things, like the one there was like an RPG that was made on there called Terra Incognita, and he went on to make Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah.
And when you do the free mode, it isn't like the story mode. It's just called Terra Incognita as a little nod to that NetEuroze game.
Nice.
Dragon Quest Builders. I remember what that is now.
Yeah.
I still want
that's
to
quite
get
recent.
That's great. It's a great game.
Yeah. While we're talking about Pac-Man clones, I really want to recommend a YouTube channel that a friend of mine does called Pac Manufactured. It's basically a channel dedicated to like short reviews of Pac-Man clones.
Yeah.
And I think the most bizarre one he has reviewed yet was one of the ones he did a little while ago. If you put the CD to the album, I think it's called Tiny Horses by what's the band? Deftones. You put that album into your PC, you get a Pac-Man clone where you play as a little white horse, and all the band members of Deftones are trying to eat the horse while playing Deftones MIDIs. This is an album that came out in the year 2000, and it comes with this free sort of like, I don't think it's a Flash game, but it's like some kind of like early, like it's got like MIDI music of like from the album and stuff.
That is interesting.
So yeah,
I'm actually a big fan of Deftones, and I didn't even know about that.
Have you got that album?
No, I don't.
Well, if you did have that CD, slap it in the PC, and you can play a Pac-Man clone.
Wow.
There is one Pac-Man clone that he hasn't reviewed yet, and well, there really isn't much to say about it. But I think the funniest Pac-Man clone that exists is an MSX game called Oh Shit.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Basically, it's just Pac-Man. It's just a pretty competent port of Pac-Man, unofficial. But every time you die, he does this.
What does it do?
Did you catch that? Did it pick up? Oh, did it not pick up?
No.
I'm going to have to put it closer.
What did...
No.
Oh, is this a visual that you're putting on the YouTube video?
No. It's a sample. I think the people in the chat heard it. People on the thing heard it. Yeah, they heard it. You guys didn't hear it for some reason, but basically every time you die, it shouts, "Oh shit!" That's it. That's the whole gimmick. That's the whole gimmick of the whole thing. It shouts "oh shit" in the most obnoxious lo-fi way possible every time you die.
That MSX hardware.
Yeah. The best thing about it is
worth it.
It got a commercial release in Japan. Like an actual, I think in the West it was like a bootleg game, but it got a commercial release in Japan, and it was just called shit. There is a Pac-Man game that was commercially released that's called shit. It just said, the box just says shit on it.
So Namco Museum, if you make your next Namco Museum, you know what to do.
Re-release Oh Shit.
I remember James Rolfe found Famicom disc games that have the F word in them.
It happens a lot in Japan.
So it happened a lot in Japan, where even Sonic the Hedgehog in Japanese he swears now and then because
I think that was in Sonic X or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was in Sonic X, and then today we also have Japanese virtual YouTubers swearing
That's
all the
not
time.
really the
very
same thing,
innocently,
but yeah.
like a baby that just learned the word for the first time and does it because it gets an amusing reaction out of everyone.
There was also that
So-
picture that I think Tom had on his Facebook the other day, where it was like
yeah.
it was like a book about like one of the Mario anime films,
Oh yeah.
and it's just a picture of Mario just shouting shit, like
Yeah,
in English.
He's
losing a game, isn't he? He's just going shit.
He goes, oh shit!
Oh shit!
Holy fucking shit!
Like, I assume it's still available, but for the 40th anniversary, Twitch had added a thing where you had like a Twitch Pac Man game.
Oh yes.
And I think it's multiplayer, like you can play with other people's Twitch channels, and it has a maze maker on it as well.
Yep.
I haven't
I
played it, but that's
haven't dabbled with that. Minecraft also has a Pac Man update as well.
Yes.
Like you can actually play as Pac Man,
right.
and it's got like all this elaborate stuff. There has actually been some really nice anniversary stuff. I think one of my favourites is on the official Sonic Twitter. There was an illustration of like Sonic giving Pac Man a pair of Sonic shoes. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turned out it's actually illustrated by a friend of mine. Who's actually done illustrations for Sega quite a few times now. Yeah.
No, really? The artist was a friend of yours?
Yeah. Someone I just personally know. He's
cool.
done illustrations for Sega, like Sonic, the Sonic Twitter a few times. They just don't credit it or anything. They just he gets paid for it.
I really thought that art was from Yuji Uekawa.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? I thought that at first, and he was like, "No, it was me."
He
was like,
did
"Wow,
a really good job
you're getting
his
so good now."
It was Pac Man that kind of made me want to get into maybe purchasing one of those arcade 1-up machines one day.
Nice.
It's just like it's very steep to buy one over here, but it's I have entertained it. It was either going to be that or it was going to be Street Fighter 2. But they do now. They got like an anniversary version, 40th anniversary arcade 1-up machine that has way more Pac Man games on it.
Oh, really?
It only has Pac Man and Pac Man Plus, but they added like Pac and Pal and a few others.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd probably play that like once or twice and then be like, That's how I feel about that one, but still, it's nice that they added it.
I remember I got the Pac Man collection on the PC, which also had a lot of Pac Man games. I think it had Pac and Pal. I definitely remember it had Super Pac Man, Pac Land, and Pac Attack, specifically the Genesis version.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the best way to play Pac Man these days is probably if you've got a Switch to play it on that, especially if you got a flip grip and you can play it in Tate mode or Tate mode, however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to play Pac Man. It's a great way to play Donkey Kong as well, and all those kind of games. Dig Dug. But the PC has them. I don't know how good of a port they are. But I did buy Championship Edition DX the other day, so I'll be giving that a bash.
I guess another really notable Pac-Man game, which is really again just another case of let's take the original game and just put a slight twist on it, is Pac-Man Versus.
Oh yeah.
That was on the GameCube, and I think it's also on that Namco Museum collection on the Switch, isn't it?
It was originally only available on the GameCube, which came with new copies of Pac-Man World 2.
That's right,
Namco Museum for Switch was actually the very first time they re-released it.
Yeah,
which is probably because the original game had to make use of Game Boy Advance systems.
Yeah.
So with the Switch, they were finally able to replicate that without you requiring a Game Boy Advance.
Well, also,
but even at the time when you did need the Game Boy Advances, it was a really cool idea for a Pac-Man game.
What's really notable about that game as well is it was actually designed by Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah, Shigeru Miyamoto.
And
it also had Charles Martinet as the announcer. It was Mario doing the announcer voice for that game.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean that because it was Charles Martinet. He was actually
doing the Mario
in
voice.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best thing about that is that on the Switch's eShop, you can actually get the multiplayer mode for free. So if one person has like the full game, you can play with your friends if they have like the free version.
Yeah, so you can play on multiple screens, basically.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't all have to own a copy of the game. You can just download that free version, and then you can all play it together that way, like wirelessly.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's like a recreation
Very
of
nice.
the Game Boy Advance mode in the GameCube game, but without having to require multiple Game Boy Advances and multiple cartridges and whatever, all the rigmarole that took to set up.
And then, of course, I do also want to mention the free-to-play mobile Pac Man game. Because even if you're not into these type of games, this one is worth a look because they do a lot of interesting stuff with Pac Man in that version of the game. For one, it's free, so it doesn't really it doesn't really cost you anything to give it a shot, although there's extra mazes that you have to pay for.
Pac-Man,
But like they do some special events occasionally. So like years ago, they did a crossover event with Sonic.
I was gonna
So
say,
you could play-
yeah.
Yeah, they did. There were special Sonic the Hedgehog mazes where you instead play as Sonic, and all the ghosts were Motobugs. And otherwise, the game worked exactly the same.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just an interesting little crossover. And then on the flip side, Pac Man appeared in the mobile game Sonic Dash.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're just having
another
a
And
one.
then there's another one I'm just remembering. It's another mobile game, although it's also available on consoles and PC now. There was another game called Pac Man 256.
I was literally just gonna bring that
you were
up.
just about
Yeah.
to talk. You were just
I
about
put
to talk
so
about
many hours into that bloody game. That actually kind of got a bit annoying, like how much grind that game was just to get all the power-ups in that. Like get all the collectibles.
yeah.
It took me about 20 hours to beat that game.
It was, but you know what? It was addicting. It had.
It was fun, yeah.
It really had that quality to it. That kind that every arcade game strives for.
Every Pac-Man, like good Pac-Man game should have. The idea of 256 is it's basically based on the fabled level 256 of the original game, where the game just glitches out. And in this game, you're basically just like running away from all the glitchiness. It's like it's almost like an endless maze of Pac-Man that you're like constantly trying to. You're not trying to get all the dots. You're just trying to advance as
I mean,
far
you do
ahead
want
as
to get
possible.
as many dots as possible, but you do have to
at the same time
navigate through the maze.
You can't really go
avoiding
backwards
ghosts
too much without like dying.
And then of course there's still the ghosts that get in your way, but you have even more power-ups to deal with them in this game besides just the power pellets.
Yeah, and that was by the developers of Crossy Road, so it had the similar.
Crossy Roads, yes.
That's the one. Yeah, it had the similar like look to it as that as well.
Not to mention the game had extra skins for you to change the look, and one of them was just a Crossy Road skin.
Yeah, just
where the game
duck.
The game's the same, but it looks like Crossy Roads. Pac-Man is instead a bird, and all the ghosts are cars.
Yeah,
it was a really cool idea, though.
Yeah, that was a good game as well.
Plus, there were skins based on like Pac-Man Championship Edition and Pac-Mania and other stuff like that.
And we didn't even talk about Championship Edition. How absolutely brilliant that bloody game is!
Yeah,
oh my god,
very mental.
I wish the original.
We really cannot end this without talking about Championship Edition, can we? It's such a wonderful take on Pac-Man.
I still feel like the second game has the problem that like games like Pac and Pal had, where they just like put too many mechanics in, and most of them just don't really make sense.
Well, the thing with Pac-Man is it's supposed to be simple and elegant. You have a few tweaks here and there, but you don't want to stray too much.
I do feel like Championship Edition, the first one, did straddle. Yeah, it managed to add stuff without like feeling like too much clutter, because like the way it all works is just. I just think that game's beautiful. Like the way how satisfying it is to just have like 1,000 ghosts all chasing you down the road, and then getting a power pellet and just eating every single one of them.
It is.
And the noise it makes when you get them all.
When you do figure out the game and you really get it going, it is really fun being in the zone.
And the soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I wish they used a few of the remixes from those games in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
He's one of my favourite characters to play as in Smash as well.
Oh yeah.
Just drop fire hydrants on people's heads.
Yeah, that is great.
Did Billy Mitchell actually get caught cheating in Pac Man? I know his score for Pac Man was taken away, but was it really actually?
I don't think he was being caught for Pac Man stuff, but basically because of the cheating on Donkey Kong, they just took all of his scores down.
Well, serves him right.
Yeah.
I forgot he was also
Play a crappy
getting
game
high
and you
scores
win a
in
crappy
Pac-Man.
prize.
I thought it was just Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was the first to get the perfect score on.
Yes.
Apparently, I think at some point he probably was a legitimate.
Yeah,
there was a point where he was legit. So the Pac Man stuff he did earlier on probably was legit.
Well, he did that in person, I believe.
Yes,
so,
he did. Yeah.
I'm not like I say you can't say that he's not a fantastic player of games. It's just he's also a knob.
Yeah, he does have some talent.
Yeah,
he had some at some point.
How would Billy Mitchell cope with modern games?
Yeah, because
I don't know. There's not a lot of score-based modern games today.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some.
But he's probably played he's probably one of those people that has 2 or 3 games they play and that's all they've really played.
Yeah.
But they play it religiously. But you get some people who only play Tetris, but they do play that a lot,
Yeah.
And you get certain people who do that as well with certain RPGs. It's they don't really play many. They might just play one Skyrim or Morrowind, and that's all they play. But so
I don't think I've ever known anyone that only plays Morrowind. He doesn't.
I've known people who only play sports games and Call of Duty.
Yeah, but they probably play. I say with those, they play every new iteration. Whereas it, obviously, I can't put words in Billy Mitchell's mouth, but it might be fair to say that he plays a few of them, but he mostly just plays Donkey Kong and Thingy back to back.
Who knows?
Don't know. Yeah, well, he's certainly good at them, but also good at forging them.
Not good enough. Apparently.
Not good enough.
We're going to be bringing up Billy Mitchell a lot when we're not actually talking about him on this podcast, aren't we?
I think it's just because we were just talking about a game that he plays, so that just happened.
We were talking about him earlier as well, and it's just a Pac Man anniversary.
Yeah, that's true.
Tangentially related.
It all comes back round to EastEnders.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has any other specific memories of Pac-Man things. I know you've got a bit of a.
I mean, for me, the very first Let's Play that I did on my YouTube channel, Elk Plays and Paints, was actually Pac Man and the Ghostly Adventures.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Or the show in particular.
Yeah, the cartoon.
More so the cartoon.
I've never watched the cartoon. So
I love to hate it.
You certainly have.
That.
Stacey certainly can.
I love to hate it. Especially, there's a particular episode that if I could put it in a capsule and send it to aliens to convince aliens that we're, how absolutely mental the human race is, I would put it in there. It's called Is It You or Is It Me? And it's basically the cartoon trope where a teenage character has a pimple come up the day before they have their picture taken.
School picture day.
Yeah. And then it goes absolutely it's basically the one that I know meme comes from.
Basically, he gets so many pimples, and at some point he's just inflated, and he's just giant, inflated thing with pus all over him, floating through the school, and everyone's taking photos of him, and he goes, "Oh no, I'm a meme."
Yeah, and
then does he actually say he's a meme?
Yep.
Yes, he does.
He straight up says it.
And then it becomes a massive fart joke, and I mean a massive one. Oh,
Isn't there characters in that? Aren't the bad guys in that just one of them's called Butler, And he's just like a ghost that's also an arse, but also a professor. And then there's another one that's just like but something else. I don't know.
Oh, one's a professor and one's a butler.
Yeah, butler.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, yeah?
Nope, we're talking about a cartoon that came out.
About Pac Man and the Ghostly Adventures.
Yes.
That came out
more
around...
recent cartoon.
Yeah, that was
Cartoon
like...
Network.
I guess it was about 10 years ago now. I don't know how long ago it was.
Oh,
but
about
it's...
6 or 7 years ago. But yeah,
yeah, it's cringe.
yeah. I mean, the Hanna-Barbera one was also cringe, but this one is
Much
cringe
worse.
times 100.
I watched the Hanna-Barbera one when I was younger, but it was always on during school hours, so I could only ever watch it when I was like quote unquote sick. And
in other words, all the time.
All the time, yeah. So but this was when I was much younger. I was in like year 3 or year 4 when I was watching this, so I was quite young, and it was. Yeah, you know, I thought it was good when I was younger because it was like, it's a video game cartoon, but, you know.
It's the nature of Hanna-Barbera just doing cartoons about anything.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't give him a mystery fan and just have him chasing mysteries, because that's what every other one of their cartoons was.
That made it a lot better.
That cartoon used to be on Cartoon Network as well.
Yeah,
because, you know, given the Hanna-Barbera nature.
I want to say that was probably the first video game cartoon.
It might, one of them.
I think this might have been after the Saturday Supercade. In
North
America.
Possibly. Oh, yeah, it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, which is where they had a bunch of cartoons based on stuff like Kangaroo and Donkey Kong.
I mean, most video game cartoons are sort of cringe anyway, but I have never seen anything that's got so much toilet humour as that cartoon did.
Oh, Ghostly Adventures.
Yeah.
That show was really weird as well, because they announced that show about 6 years before it came out. They threw so much money into the CGI of that show, and then it just turned out the way it did. It was just kind of garbage, but like it was elaborately animated garbage. I don't know, but I just seem to remember they had like a pilot teaser for that cartoon on the 3DS collection that had like. Yeah, I think it had Championship Edition on it. It had like some other version of Gallagher on it, and then it had a few retro like ports on it. But yeah, that came out on the 3DS like near the launch, and then about 4 or 5 years later, the cartoon actually came out, and they made all like those games of it and that. Yeah, and, like the Wii U. But yeah, I feel like Namco half the time they just don't really know what to do with the character to make it down with the kids, and it's not really worth it. Like, just don't bother. Like,
stuff you can do, just make Pac Man games.
Yeah, exactly.
Or make a fresh start with Klonoa.
Well, I mean, we can dream.
Well,
he has Pac Man on his hat.
Well, the thing about the Ghostly Adventures as well is like it was out there to promote toys as well, and half the toys didn't even come out in the UK, I don't think.
Most of them are awful. I remember seeing one of them, and it was like Pac Man, but you open his mouth and a giant tongue comes out of it, and then he also, like, you stuff Gunge in his gob, and then it comes out of his arse or something.
I've seen the advert for it, but I've actually never seen that in stores over here.
I think I might have done once. A lot of Ghostly Adventures stuff, I remember seeing little figures in the pound shop at one point. All they have
Sonic Boom's humor made sense.
All they have to do for me to be happy with Pac-Man is just put Pac-Man on stuff. I am currently wearing Pac-Man socks, a Pac-Man t-shirt. We have Pac-Man bedding.
Yeah.
I've got a Pac-Man glass, several mugs, lamps. One that's like
they do that too. You know, they do Pac-Man on literally everything.
And I
will buy it. I'm happy to buy it. I love Pac-Man.
Hello Kitty.
Yeah, and we've got the
maybe not that. I'm not bothered.
Like even Sega does that with Sonic. They got the right idea.
Yeah, we've got like
quotation marks there.
Blankets as well.
Well, the right idea when it comes to merchandising, of course.
Yeah. Just wanted to point out again. Going back to the Pac-Man bedding, that also used to be in the 80s as well, and there was
like an old bedding you're talking about?
Yeah, an old one. Yeah.
I was wondering what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was there's like this film from 1983 called Testament, which it was like another like Cold War film, and there was a bit in it where like there's a boy sleeping in like Pac Man bedding, and that's like after the bomb, because the bomb didn't destroy the town, but it gave like the fallout to him.
But he was all right because he had his Pac Man quilt, so he's all good.
Yeah,
he's ready.
Lunchbox.
He's ready, as the pillows on our bed set literally say. He literally says ready.
I just thought I'd point that out.
Yes, ready to sleep.
Yeah. But alright, carrying on.
Yeah, that's basically it. Just like if it's not Sonic Tat, it's Pac Man Tat.
I didn't even get to talk about the Ghostly Adventures video game.
I mean, it's just a game based on that cartoon. I can't imagine there's much to say.
Yeah, basically, it's like the closest thing to Pac-Man World that we've had within the 2010s. I thought the game was all right. I had fun with it when I was recording it.
3D platform. That's all I know about it.
I'd say it's not quite as clever of a game as Pac-Man World was, but at least they do use the original Pac-Man rules, like the dots and the ghosts, in a somewhat clever way. I guess.
All this says to me is I think that someone needs to make the Pac Man effect now.
Yes.
Give it the VR treatment.
Just get the Res guy to make a Pac Man game. I mean, Championship Edition is. Yeah. I mean, Pac Man Championship Edition is kind of that, but also kind of not. Like, if they can make a really chill Pac Man game, that's still Pac Man, but it's got all that atmosphere that.
And imagine, like I say, with the VR,
you know what?
it'd be very nice.
You know VR what? Pac-Man. You remember that VR Pac-Man game they showed off in the 90s?
Oh yes, they had that at Sega World. That wasn't technically by Namco. It was just like it's technically a Pac-Man clone, but yeah, that was like one of the first VR things I ever saw.
Yeah. Well, I think the closest thing to that nowadays would be the Pac-Man DLC for Minecraft.
Yeah, I guess so. I would love to actually see a proper VR Pac-Man game where like Pac-Man's just like sort of like the maze is all around you and you have to keep looking around to see where he is.
Did you ever see that game you can download, like Cursed Pac-Man type thing? And it was like,
no,
it gets quite dark. I'll link it.
Is it a creepypasta?
I've never heard of that.
Well, it was you can actually it starts as normal Pac-Man. It just slowly gets a little bit weirder as it goes on.
Oh, fair enough.
And then eventually it turns to you're like first person in the maze.
Oh,
and like, you're the ghost, and then Pac-Man's chasing you around the place.
Is that VR?
No, it's just a PC game, like a fan thing.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's just kind of neat, sort of.
Kind of sounds like Sonic Dreams.
Yeah, just not as messed up, really.
Not as messed up.
Come to think of it,
I think that's.
I think Dead by Daylight might work as a horror reverse Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, that's.
I can see that.
Yeah, just like the Bomberman Zero type thing.
Really?
Don't do it exactly the same way Bomberman Act Zero did it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. No!
Never again.
Just never do that.
Stop.
Don't repeat his.
I'd play like a Pac-Man clone with Bomberman in it. I'd play that. That'd be quite cool. I don't know how that would work exactly, but know.
I mean, Bomberman in a way is kind of it's grid based. That's all it really has in common. But yeah, I could see that working.
I guess.
Yeah, so Pac-Man is great.
So he's still great. Quite a long Pac-Man talk.
Go play Pac-Man and remind yourself how great it is.
It's still a very good video game.
I'm sure you have
very
at least
few games
some
of
way
that age
Pac-Man.
can say that.
It's just one of those things, and when I was playing some of those like hamster arcade games and some of on the Switch and like the Namco Museum, it reminded me how when the arcades were big in like the late mid 70s and early 80s and stuff, they were onto something there, They've always, most of them have aged really well, Doug Gallagher, Pac Man, Donkey Kong, they're all really good, you know.
Yeah. And for every one of those, there was about 20 generic spaceship shooters that no one remembers. Like Phoenix. For every Donkey Kong, there was 20 Phoenixes.
You stick to the classics, you'll go far, but there's a lot of shite out there as well.
Yeah. That's true.
Pac Man is still good, is what we're saying. He's 40 bloody years old.
That's still good.
Pac Man is still good. Yeah, I like Pac Man.
So does anyone else have more Pac Man stuff to talk about for the next 5 minutes so we can make this 3 hours long?
I mean, we don't have to.
No, we don't have to. There's no law. Don't be Manchester United to come after us over it, but
or Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell and Manchester United are going to both sue us simultaneously. They're going to join forces.
They are the same person.
Same embodiment.
Imagine it's just like you see the guy behind the mask and it's just Axl Rose.
Or that D-Love, what's her name, that tried to sue Sega over Space Channel 5.
Oh, was that D-Light?
D-Light, yeah. They were like, they stole my shtick.
I looked into that. I saw that article and I saw the picture of her and I was like, I don't really see it. Like in the most broad strokes in the whole universe.
The reason she sued them is they contacted her about like doing something with her. She said she was too busy, and then they went off and made Space Channel 5, and she's like, oh, that's really, 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 really vaguely like that one hit wonder song I did. But not really. And it's like, well... And she actually lost a fortune to that. Like, Sega got all the money for that.
And then they included that one song that she was talking about in the Wii version of Samba de Amigo, which itself features Ooh La La in it.
I think it was DLC, wasn't it? I think it was.
No, it wasn't DLC. It was included in the game.
Wow. So they must have made up at some point. I guess.
Either that, or they did it just to make fun of her.
I mean, they must have got the rights.
Just to take a subtle jab at her. Of course, either way, they did have to get. Either way, that wasn't a cover, so they did have to get the rights to the song.
Exactly, yeah. So if she really hated Sega that much, she wouldn't have let them put that song in there.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was more a matter of them contacting the record company that has the rights to her discography.
Speaking of Space Channel 5, would the sequel be a problematic thing to port now? Because Michael Jackson's in it.
Maybe.
No, Space Channel 5, the VR game is sort of a remake of the first one with some extra bits.
Yeah, but that doesn't have Michael Jackson in it, does it? The first one.
No, he was in the first game, but he's like near the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's also in the second game, and Sega re-released that one just fine. It's still available for purchase as of this recording.
It's on Steam and like.
I thought it'd be one of those things where they would modify the character. And maybe
the only reason they only ported the first one
backward compatible on Xbox One.
Yeah. The reason they haven't ported the first one to anything really outside of the remake on VR is because all the backgrounds were pre-rendered. They had no way of getting the original source like video, so it would look like crap. So that's why the second game it was all the backgrounds.
Never stopped Sega from re-releasing Final Fantasy VII and all that and having them look like crap.
Wait, what?
They don't care.
You mean Square, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you mean...
I was confused.
Yeah.
Right, I think we should wrap this up now. That was good.
Yeah, can we? How many more minutes until... Okay, 1 minute until 6. All right. Yeah, we can wrap this up now.
Well, it's 11 o'clock over here. 11 o'clock over here.
Okay,
allowing us to end.
I forgot. I'm going by my local time. Sorry.
No,
I'm not until 3 hours.
I'm just saying thanks for allowing us to end.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. But yeah, Pac Man. It is good. It is still good. Go play some good games.
Go play some Pac Man.
And appreciate that beautiful French song that was at the beginning.
Life is too short to waste your time on bad games.
Right, so I've been the Gagaman.
I've been CherryT.
I've been Murry Curry.
I've been Shelved Gamer.
I've been Hunk Thunder.
And I've been Elk, and I have nothing witty to say.
Good. Let's go. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.